Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 110 of Not a Robot Podcast's DC Comics review show. As
Wait, hold
usual,
on.
we will be covering.
I think we're on episode 112,
Rewind.
aren't we?
We are on 112.
We are?
Brandon.
Oh, why do I have 110 then? That's weird. Must be a little bit outdated or a typo. I'll let you decide. As usual, we will be covering the late 112 then. As usual, we will be
Yes.
covering the latest books from DC, and we hope you enjoy it. And I am, of course, joined by my esteemed co-hosts, Rob and Josh. You can make your jokes now if you like.
I was going to say, Cobra Kai never dies.
May the
Yeah.
Schwartz be with you.
No, that was your
Yes.
cue. That was your cue. There you go.
Yeah.
Please make sure you stick around until the end of this episode to hear our top three books of the week, The Biggest Stinker, and to find out which titles may just make the dump list. If you would like to support us further, please visit buymeacoffee.com/NAR podcast for either a one-time donation or subscription for access to our Discord, as well as other exclusive content available on the network. Before we get into the news, I just want to apologize if there's any additional background noise. I was trying to get home in time, but I could not. So I'm recording this live from our campus's music rehearsal building, which means there's going to be the sound of people playing pianos and scales and possibly other instruments. So I apologize in advance. I'm trying to make sure that the audio does not pick up in the mic, but I'm sure it invariably will. But with that out of the way, let's get into some news, guys. What's new this week? What are you reading? What's new in comics? So
I'm,
forth.
I'm just super excited that this week you brought your own backup band. That's fantastic.
I
I feel
know,
like it's
I
a real
know,
talk show
and
now.
I don't know what the guy next door, like literally as we started recording, started to play his scales. So you'll be hearing some other stuff, I'm sure. And I was like, really, right now? You couldn't have waited like another hour? But that's on me. But yeah, no, what's new?
It's not new, but it's new to me. I started reading the Tales from the Harrowkani. Wow.
Oh, I love that book. Or wait,
That
are you reading
is,
Tales from the Harrow County or the original Harrow County?
I'm reading Tales from the Harrowkani. Fairfolt?
Okay. Have you read the original Harrow County?
No.
Oh man, dude, you got to
I,
read the first Harrow County. Oh,
all right.
so
There's
good.
I'm only two issues
This is
into
this is
Tales
literally
from.
this is okay. Well, I would say once you're finished with that, because it does kind of provide some context for the world of Harrow County, but you gotta read the original series. That's why when I'm always talking about Tyler Crook, this is what I mean. Like Tyler Crook on the original Harrow County is like what broke my brain with just the use of watercolors and other painting techniques. It's just incredible. But yeah, you got to read the original Harrow County. It's so good. It does drag a little bit towards the end, I will admit, but the first like 16 issues are pretty good.
It's Tyler Crook and Cullen Bunn, right?
Yeah, well, Cullen Bunn did the writing. I think Tyler Crook is technically a co-writer on Fairfolk, but he's not. I don't think he's doing the art. That's like Emily Schnall or something like that. He might have done the
Right,
colors though,
right
because I
on.
know he paints
It's
a lot of this
Emily
stuff.
Schnall,
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's
and he
Emily
did all the
Schnall.
lettering too.
And Yeah, no, and that's why last time I forget when we recorded and I recommended another book that Tyler's doing called The Lonesome Hunters. It's like just a feat of artistic accomplishment because he's writing, drawing, painting, and lettering the fucking book. Like I'm
I
surprised he didn't
call
pull a Jack Kirby and just edit it himself. But
I
I
call
don't
call
think Dark
that
Horse
I
lets
call
you do
that the
that.
Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or
Yeah.
or like I said, or Jack Kirby, who would famously just, I mean, aside from inking, would just literally just write the scripts, draw the books, and edit them. He's literally just like, I don't need anyone else to supervise this. I can edit it myself, and I can dialogue it too, which is just remarkably impressive. But Jeff Lemire stopped lettering his own stuff after I think after Tales from the Farm. He kind of pawn that job off to someone else because it's apparently really hard.
Really? I
Yeah,
guess I never
it's like
considered that.
because he was doing hand lettering. He wasn't. Yeah, he's not like
Oh
going
wow.
in with a computer. He's like actually drawing in the captions and the bubbles himself, which is apparently incredibly grueling and difficult to do if you're
You've got
laying
to
everything
use
out.
like an
But it's
intense
remarkably
scaling
impressive.
system, you would think.
Yeah.
It's apparently so the way that you do it, and this is just what I got from his process pages when he was talking about some of his tales from the farm. But apparently, the way you do it is when you actually lay out the pages, you lay it out with the dialogue in mind. So it's like you have an exact idea or a rough idea of where the lettering is going to go, and then you draw around that, which is even more difficult because you basically have to estimate how big your lettering is going to be and then work in the figures and the landscape around that, which is, I mean, and here I am just sitting my ass on my chair typing a script and thinking, wow, that's really hard, not having to worry about how the whole thing's going to be laid out, which is, yeah, just a whole other mess. But yeah, it's very impressive.
Big
Anyway,
old
back to
ball
what
of
we were talking about,
wax.
Harrow County. Please read it. Yeah, it's really great. Most of it is.
Right on.
Yeah. I've just been going through all these graphic novels I've been getting at the dollar store, which is freaking amazing. I don't think I've actually brought it up on the show yet. I
Oh
don't think I
yeah,
have.
no.
Your deep
Rob
dives
bombards
at
us every
Dollarama.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canadian fam out there, if you love DC Comics and the occasional Marvel graphic novel that was so, check out your local Dollarama. For the better part, just over a year now, as
Uh,
far back as I can tell, they've been selling like full on $20 to $30 graphic novels, 6 to 8 issues a piece for just $5. You can there's all sorts. I've got some fabulous finds. Some amazing like I
mhm.
now have all of Brad Meltzer's Justice League run from
The Lightning
2006.
Saga.
Yeah, and the Tornado's Path. I got them both. And the Lightning Saga has those two extra
Yeah.
issues at the end. I have this
Sweet.
entire freaking run for $10.
Which is hilarious
I'm
because I think they
enthralled.
they just put out a deluxe edition of it. But
Oh
at least you
man.
get the chance to read it. I know
Yeah.
that's the worst thing when it's like you get like a complete collection of something and you're like, yes, finally, and then and I think I've mentioned it. It happens to me all the time, and then they put out a new fucking edition with like all the bells and whistles, and you're like, God damn it. God damn it. If only I had
Yeah.
waited and saved a little more cash. Yeah.
Yeah, like I've just recently been rereading Superman Reborn from the Rebirth era,
Ah,
which I
yes.
think we talked about
Yeah.
earlier this week, which is one of my favorite Superman stories.
We did.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, that one, and the potential for Mister Oz back in the day. Oh man, so much potential
Yeah,
wasted. That was one of my
indeed.
favorite times on the internet with comics, was just everyone speculating what the deal with Mister Oz was and who he really was. It was so much fun.
This was one of those rare times I was actually excited to be on social media because people
Yeah.
were having fun and just speculating on who he secretly was, whether he was
Yeah.
Ozymandias or not, or some other
Oh,
crazy
that was the
connection.
biggest.
Good
I
times.
remember that was easily the biggest theory, was he was also,
Yeah.
because they also did all the teases with Doctor Manhattan around that time, so everybody thought they were
Yeah.
doing a whole
Well, I
Watchmen
remember
thing.
the big one that people seem to be convinced, the big clue that had people convinced that Ozymandias was actually Mr. Oz was, I guess, the design um, for Mr. Oz, like the logo or something, was similar to the design for the bottle of perfume that's in Watchmen, and I'm blanking on the name of that
Oh,
perfume right now. But apparently
Oh,
they were like
Jesus
very
Christ.
similar or the same, and it was the one that I think he had like on his hand, on like the front of his hand,
or
and people were like, "Oh, clear sign that it was Ozymandias all along." But oh, how wrong we were.
like maybe that was the idea, and then it changed, because I don't think anybody would have guessed
Yeah,
Jor-El. that
yeah.
that
No,
was
No.
I
so far out
definitely
of left
didn't
field.
either.
No.
Was anybody
Yeah,
happy that it was
nostalgia.
Jor-El?
That was the name. Nostalgia.
Yeah. I
I remember
wasn't
being pretty
upset
disappointed.
that it was that it was Jor-El, but I was
Yeah.
certainly like, what the hell does this mean now? And it meant nothing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Plus, with
something
all the
in common with
Watchmen
the DC
connections, it
today.
definitely felt like it was,
Hmm.
yeah, it was going to be something more significant. But
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
our
that's a
oh,
shame.
well, I guess I'm going to be. Oh, yeah. Well, first, I guess I should mention what I'm reading. But I also have to take something off my news because I was just wrong according to this update that I'm seeing right now.
Oh,
So, whoops. Anyway, well, you'll never know what it was. um, as for me, I think last time I mentioned I was reading Jim Starlin's Captain Marvel, which I've kept going through right now, and it's still just as wonderful as it was with that first issue. I think it's actually picked up a little bit. Like he's getting more comfortable um, doing some of the writing because I don't think he was writing it originally. He was just drawing it, and then gradually, as the issues continued, he actually started scripting all this stuff, which is pretty impressive. And then in the march to the return of another series that I didn't think was ever going to be coming back called Royal City. I've been rereading the entire Royal City because I got a very special gift from a friend, the entire hardcover collection of Royal City by Jeff Lemire, and I love his stuff
nice.
when he's writing and drawing it. So I got the chance to finally sit down and actually reread that for the first time in a while in anticipation for the series return in 2023. So I've really been enjoying that so much, or I've really been enjoying that so far, and greatly enjoying the reread so far.
All right.
Anyway, that's what
Okay.
I'm reading.
Now, there's a huge news to talk about, lots of speculation, all of that stuff. But before we get into that, was there anything that underneath that level of importance as far as news go, other than the one you had to remove, Brandon?
Well, yeah, well, I guess I shouldn't be that ominous about it. One of my points of news was just a complaint because DC hadn't released their New York Comic Con special, and I thought they were skipping it, or I thought they were skipping their comics portion of it because they had released their HBO Max panel schedule, but they had not released their comics schedule. So I was just going to get in here and complain about it a little bit and be pedantic. But then, literally, like an hour ago, although I didn't see it, they just released their entire schedule. So never mind.
Yeah.
So I was very wrong. Um,
Fair enough.
but a couple of them are actually going to be applicable to some of the stuff I assume we'll be talking about shortly, as related to DC's multiverse, as a couple of the panels are about exploring DC's multiverse and what's to come in 2022 and 2023. So more news on that. I'm very excited to be the on the ground reporter, getting all this exclusive stuff over to you. Wanted to do this since high school, so I'm just like I'm bursting at the seams with excitement to actually be on the ground and getting it there. And I'm hoping I can get the chance to talk to a couple of the people who were there. But for those who are curious, the four panels that will be across Friday through Sunday are exploring DC's multiverse on Thursday, Jim Lee and Friends on Friday, DC's Superman, which I'm very excited about, on Saturday, and DC's Gotham City on Sunday. And I don't know exactly what Jim Lee and Friends will entail. They just mentioned that it's going to be highlighting the incredible talent and showcasing the biggest books coming out of DC this year and next. But with a title like Jim Lee and Friends, you expect there's going to be a little bit of more focus on Jim Lee himself. So I guess we'll see exactly what's to come on that panel. I'll make sure to let you guys and our listeners know. But definitely some exciting stuff in the works that I'm looking forward to actually getting to see this time.
Hell
But
yeah.
speaking of the multiverse,
Right on.
I hear we have some news on that front, don't we?
Kind of, I guess. Kind of news, kind of some head scratching, kind of a whole bunch of speculation.
Yeah.
I thought there was some Earth 6 news, was there not?
There is some Earth 6 news, and while talking about the multiverse reminded me of an announcement a few days ago that I'm not sure any of us have listed that I'm also going to bring up from
Yeah.
Mr. Mark Waid.
Yeah, well,
But
that was
before
the
that,
segue. So here you go.
okay, so first off, let me just pull it up. DC announced today that there will be a one shot coming on December 27th, 96 pages. This I find this kind of funny, but also very nice. That Marvel hasn't done this yet, but as somebody stated, I'm sure it's coming. Though it's taken them a damn while. DC Comics is celebrating Stan Lee on what would be his 100th birthday, with Tales from Earth 6, a celebration of Stan Lee, and it is further stories of his Just Imagine line of one shots from 2001
God.
to 2002.
Definitely.
Something
Rob
else.
said, I forget exactly what you said. Something about it being unexpected.
Yeah,
Unexpected but
but
not unwelcome, which I wholeheartedly
exactly.
agree with because
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I could have ever seen this coming.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I never thought they would ever revisit these characters save from like a random appearance during a multiverse story.
Not at
So
all.
this is a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It will include stories written by
Yeah.
Mark Waid, Jerry Ordway, Kenny Porter, Stephanie Williams, Michael W. Conrad, and Becky Cloonan, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, Megan Fitzmartin, Steve Orlando, and Zach Thompson. With
Nice, nice.
variant covers. Trying to find any list of artists, but I did not find a list of artists. But they will feature, I believe, all the characters from his Just Imagine line. 96 pages. I am. Oh yeah, it's going to be multiple stories, as stated before. So look for that in December. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also from Mark Waid coming in December is a little Dark Crisis one shot called Dark Crisis Big Bang, and this is basically mapping out the new multiverse, but it includes
Again.
some more recent. Um, Again, yeah, but with what's been going on, I think also not unwelcome to have yet another map to navigate this new multiverse because there will be some more recent
Oh
additions,
joy.
such as the Jurassic
As if the
League
first
DC
map
mech.
wasn't confusing enough.
Yeah. We're gonna see
Yeah.
Dark Knights of
Oh man.
Steel added into it. The variant covers and main covers are amazing. I especially love the Batman '89 is going to be included, so you have one of Joker's goons right next to DC
Mm,
superhero girls, Wonder Woman, just standing there together, one grimacing, one
yeah.
smiling. It's up to you who's who. Is it's looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah,
Well, I did actually have a
run.
question about that because I looked at it and I saw some of those titles listed, and I forget who said it. It might have been Nathan or someone else. But as I'm sure our listeners know by now, we've been getting a lot of miniseries at DC lately over the past year. And a lot of those miniseries have seemed, kind of, I guess you could say, ancillary or not entirely important. They take place on alternate Earths, and I don't know if it was Nathan or maybe it was one of you guys, but someone had mentioned that maybe the reason that we're getting all of these series was they're trying to build out their new multiverse post Death Metal and now I guess post Dark Crisis. And I wondered what you guys thought about that. If all of these series that we've been getting, like DCOS or Justice League or Last Ride or Batman the Detective or all the miniseries that seemingly take place on alternate Earths or different timelines have all just been a larger part of a larger plan to build out their multiverse with new different Earths.
No.
I I could I'm with Josh.
No,
It's a no.
interesting. Okay.
No.
I see it as the opposite, where it's the same thing with the Elseworlds back in the day. The Elseworlds were titled that because they had
Okay.
the multiverse, but they didn't exist because there was a multiverse. They exist because somebody had a story to tell. And they're like, I'm going to take this character, tweak this thing a little bit, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to take Batman, but put him in the noir era. I'm going to take Batman, but he's going to be a vampire. I'm going to take Batman and do something else with him. And then somebody someday did a Superman
Is
story.
it just Batman?
Well, I mean,
That's all there ever seemed
sometimes
to
you would
be.
think so.
Yeah. I'm going to take
Yeah, yeah,
Superman, but
yeah.
instead of crashing landing in
But
Kansas,
I
it's
know
going
what
to
you mean.
crash land
Yeah,
in Mother Russia. Yeah, so
yeah, yeah.
it's not existing
Okay.
because there's a multiverse, but they exist. The multiverse exists because of them, if you will, and
Yeah.
the way they're doing this
Right.
whole new Infinite Earths thing is It's just opening the door to so many other things. And if they're going to have a multiverse seemingly like how Marvel has, or like they used to have it, where it was infinite Earths, um, are they even going to bother numbering them? And then we could just constantly have this. So when they had the 52 Earths, and then Grant Morrison mapped them all out, and each one got a designation, and there was maybe 6 planets left. They're like, what happens if we have 7 new stories? So I think
Yeah,
this is just
yeah,
easier. Yeah, you could have
yeah.
these
Well, I
fun
remember,
miniseries
and
and not worry about the continuity.
yeah, I remember when the multiverse had kind of collapsed. Well, I don't remember. I wasn't alive, but I know that when the multiverse collapsed post Crisis, a kind of workaround that Mark Waid actually pioneered to tell those kinds of stories was hypertime, which is, you have all these varying different timelines, and in one of them, maybe there was a Batman that was a vampire, or a Green Lantern that did actually exist in the 1940s but had an alternate costume and was more historically accurate or something like that. Like Hypertime was the workaround, but now that the multiverse is back, they don't really need to use that anymore. But maybe if
Yeah,
they're trying to really map out the multiverse, but they're still looking for a way to kind of work around the fixed number of Earths, they can always use Hypertime or something like that. Or I think Johns was trying to do that with the Omniverse, where there were an infinite number of multiverses, but I don't think that worked quite as well. Although there was one interesting idea from that we don't have to talk about now, but um, there could have been something there. But I guess the point is, if they're just mapping the multiverse for a fixed number of Earths, I'm sure there are other ways that they can work around telling Elseworld style stories without having to worry about whether or not it fits in with the current map of the multiverse.
yeah. The
I mean, if
Omniverse is an
again, yeah,
interesting concept that sounds cool, but also sounds super fucking complicated.
Mm. Doesn't it always?
I mean, more so than your standard multiverse. Now you have multiple multiverses. How do you
Yeah,
designate which one's in which multiverse? And are they
they don't
numbered?
give a
I don't
shit.
Do we
know. I
do they
don't
have a
know.
num? Like, can you
I'm
call
not
them
a
up? Like, it's
theoretical physicist.
Multiverse
That's
7, Earth
whatever.
4.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Because it's turning into
yeah,
the
yeah, something like that.
2021 annuals.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it's like you have, it's exactly like that, Josh. You would have Earth 3, but it's Earth 3 of Multiverse 7, not
Yep.
Earth 3 of Multiverse Prime, which would be our multiverse, which is incredibly confusing. Or maybe you have like Earth 7.3, whereas the 7 represents the multiverse and the 3 represents the Earth designate within that multiverse. I don't know. You figure this shit out. I'm just
I mean,
spitballing
I
here.
guess
Someone
if they'd
smarter
pay me
than me
to,
can
I'd
work it
try.
all out.
But
Yeah. I don't even know if I could do that.
I said I'd try. um, that's it does. It gets really confusing and really for me the only thing that would make it so they could walk into this saying, all right, we won't have to do this for a while, is if they do return to the infinite Earths and instead make it infinite multiverses. And that way they would never have to worry about whether or not it would fit inside the scale again. The only problem is
Yeah. I say
I mean, they DC collapsed the infinite Earths for a reason. And I mean,
Yeah,
it's cool and all for them to go, well, yeah, see, man, we told you everything matters. We told you everything matters. Well, that's not what I was looking for. I honestly, guys, I did not need a multiversal designation for Batman Dracula. I didn't need that. Nobody else gives a shit either because they all realize that's just a, hey, what if Batman was Dracula book? You know, and
but
that's all it
Josh,
is.
if I don't know what Earth Batman Red Rain is from, how the hell am I going to tell my Justice League story where the Justice League teams up with the Vampire Justice League?
You don't have to. You just write a story
No,
with
but
that
you don't
setting.
understand. If I'm doing that setting, I need to say, and then they came from Earth 653829.
Right.
Otherwise, the reader's going to be like, where the fuck did they come from?
Well, where
No,
that
I
came
hear what you're
from was
saying.
somebody coming up with an idea of how in the hell can we make this
Yes.
interesting? This is
Yeah.
we got to make it sound
Yeah.
interesting, even if it's not. You know, we obviously fucked up the
Yeah.
whole everything matters thing in the books we were writing. So let's go larger scale with it,
Yeah.
and bring
Yeah.
in Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah. So are you pro Infinite Earths or anti Infinite Earths? I know the most
I
politically divisive question of the session.
I because we're not going to be able to walk away from what they're doing right now. I am very much pro Infinite Multiverse, Infinite Earth, because then we never have to fucking map the
Mhm.
shit out again.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
does it mean, damn it, guys, I'm talking to DC here, that does not mean we need to rush to fill them all up. Just do it as necessary, okay?
Exactly. Yeah, you can take
Just
your time.
Yeah.
all of this is leading to what I was just introduced to via our Discord. I haven't been on the computer much lately, but my compadres here were speaking about the dawn of the DCU, and you guys clearly know quite a bit more about it than I do. So, would you care to tell me something? Just tell me something good.
Well, there's not really a ton to tell as details are still kind of scarce. Rob had posted the announcement on our Discord, but I had seen a brief announcement of it. Really, nothing specific over on Joshua Williamson's Substack. That's another announcement, but we don't have to get
Oh,
into
yes.
that. He's on Substack now. But anyway, yeah, Dawn of the DCU is, I guess, kind of announced via a cover, or the cover, I should say, to Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths #7. It is, I guess, kind of an homage to the cover that we had for Justice League 75 and also God, because Nightwing is very Christ-like in this image.
Oh yes, very, very
But
Christ-like.
yeah, on the less humorous side, it's, I guess, again, details are still very scarce, but the implication seems to be that the dawn of the DCU is going to be either leading into or will be the next era per se or phase of DC's history, and that is sort of evident based on the variant covers that they announced, which are kind of tributes to various moments in DC history, although dark crisisified, if that's a word I can use, as well as some
I
connecting
prefer
covers illustrated
Williamson.
by Dan Mora. Yeah, yeah. Well, I say dark crisisified because they're featuring some of the designs and characters featured in Dark Crisis. But anyway,
Yeah.
there are also some connecting
Yeah.
covers from Dan Mora, which many are speculating over right now as the current lineup of the DCU, or what will be the current lineup of the DCU post Dark Crisis. And that prominently features, and that should be no surprise to anyone, Batman and Superman, the Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent versions, of course, Flash and Green Lantern, Wally West and Hal Jordan versions, Wonder Woman and Aquaman, Diana Prince and Arthur, as well as, and this is the one that people seem to really be speculating over, Nightwing, Starfire, and Cyborg and Shazam. And I think people seem to believe that this is representing both the Titans and the Marvel family, respectively. But again, there's really no information aside from a solicit about Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths #7 and some of these covers, and that's it really. So there's not really a ton to say other than it's something that may be coming, or it may just be like the title of the end of the series. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's really all we have right now. Just some covers and speculation. So I'll let you decide what it will represent. But we were discussing on Discord what it may mean, and Rob had sent a tweet from Tom Taylor that had mentioned that he's re-signing it. He's not signing it, right? He's re-signing his exclusive contract with DC. I got that correct, right?
Oh no, so that was Nathan posted that, but that was his tweet
Or that
from
was
last
Nathan.
year.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that was
Nathan.
just that was
Oh,
that was
okay.
Tom
Oh, that was
Taylor's
from
tweet from
last year.
last year.
Oh,
Just him and
well, I
Nathan
did
was
not
just
see that then.
reaffirming that tweet
Okay.
to say like, I remember this and this is my theory. The
Okay.
tweet I
Well,
sent was
in that
Tom Taylor
case,
saying that he has been working very closely with Joshua Williamson during issue 7
right.
about Nightwing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then in that case, I mean, maybe he'll re-sign his contract. I don't know, or maybe he'll go to Substack.
Well, I
But
think his contract's still going.
in
Like
that
it
case,
didn't close or anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. And actually, I think Joshua Williamson is still technically DC exclusive, but again, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
But yes, Rob had sent that tweet about Tom Taylor saying that he kind of is working with Williamson on presumably future stuff, as well as some of the stuff in Dark Crisis with Nightwing. So ultimately, we'll see what that means, whether it leads to bigger things in the DCU or, just continued work on Nightwing and Nightwing maybe playing a bigger role in the DCU. Who knows? But the future is wide open, and it seems like the DCU is shaping up for bigger and bigger things in 2023. I know we all have our theories as to who we'd like to see kind of at the center of it, but ultimately we just don't have any conclusive information right now.
No, the only thing that we know for sure
that's
is
the dawn of the DCU.
The only thing that we know for sure is that on that cover is only normal, regular characters, none of the new guys, unless you're one of them people that call Nightwing and Starfire legacy characters. I really don't include them. But none of the new characters, not Yara Flor, not Jonathan Kent.
That's an interesting topic for discussion.
Make it.
Ooh,
none of them make it.
We'll have to get into that.
We've got a multiverse defining era, apparently, that isn't going to be. It's not. I feel like it's just a chance for everyone to tell whatever kind of story they want. And I am really, really afraid that we're going to go through a kind of New 52 thing where it's going to almost sort of be undone, and we're going to find out that this Earth where Nubia and Jace Fox and Joe Moline are legitimate heroes isn't really our Earth.
Oh shit!
That's some wild speculation there, buddy.
It is, but it's been
wild,
coming a long fucking way, man.
Nothing is impossible, I suppose. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Indeed.
What the hell was I going to say?
Well, anyway, most importantly,
Yeah.
I think about Aunt May too.
Anime, I have. Yes, I do wish that. No, anyway, I was going to say, most importantly, I think about this dawn of the DCU stuff is that 2 of the covers prominently feature the return of the Super Sentai Batman Superman hybrid, which I think is more important than anything else coming in 2023. I just wanted to mention that because
even the seeming reunition. Oh my God, nobody could talk.
I know. I'm all over the place today, man.
The seemingly reunited Brave and the Bold.
Is that the word?
With Barry and Hal showing up on that one cover that I saw.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't think that's Barry, because if you look at the costume, that Flash has a cowl, has a very clear cowl, which, as we know, is a trademark of Wally's new suit. So I think that's just Wally.
That's definitely Wally.
Yeah, which is why, and I was going to mention this, but I didn't want to get too off track, even though I know we already kind of have. But I think one of the things that we can sort of expect from this new era is that, continuing from Infinite Frontier, Wally is just the Flash now. Like, I don't think they're showing any signs of slowing that down. I don't think numbers have dwindled in the Flash title. I think people are legitimately just like, yeah, Wally's the Flash, whatever. No one cares. No one's asking when Barry's going to be back.
No, because nobody's given a shit about Barry since he returned. I mean, and I'm not trying to be mean,
that's
but
why I think it's
all of his storylines have just been stale and give everybody happy. Yeah. Wally gets killed and the whole internet lit itself on fire.
It's true.
For good
But I
reason.
just I love how like normalized, if that's the word I can use, but I love how normalized Wally's reascent to the Flash has been. Like no one is questioning it. One of the last things I've seen on any discussion boards or anything has been, when is Barry going to return to the title of the Flash? Like everyone's just like, nah, Wally's the Flash, and we'll just kind of keep reading it for as long as we
Well,
can. And like if that's their long term plan, I am so down for that.
fucking A right, man.
I
There's
think
no
that's a
reason
beautiful
for
thing.
Barry to. I don't mean to be ignorant, but there's no reason for Barry to even be at the forefront of a title. He returned, and that
Yeah,
was
like
cool.
just let Wally be. Yeah.
For the most part, for the comic reading audience, for the most part, um, every one of them has grown up with Wally as their Flash.
Yeah.
So the fact that the major buying demographic, if they're going to recognize somebody as Flash, it's going to be the person that they grew up with as that character. And like I said, for most people, that is Wally West. And no
Wally
offense,
was
Barry,
Flash.
but he's just
Agreed.
he's just better than you.
Yeah. He is the fastest man alive. Wally was Flash, Kyle was Green Lantern, Batman's back was broken, Superman kicked the bucket. That's the real shit.
Yep.
Oh God.
Back to the 90s.
Does that mean that we're
baby.
gonna have the return of? Yeah, I was gonna say, does that mean that we're gonna have a return of the 4 replacement Superman? So no more
No,
John. We're
God.
just gonna have Connor, Steel, Eradicator, and Cyborg Superman.
We can't seem to
running
get
the
rid of
show
the
again.
motherfuckers anyway.
I'm down. I'm totally down for that, but I don't think people would be happy.
No,
Especially
I'm
Eradicator.
not happy about that.
Because no one
I'm
would give a
not
shit
down for
about that.
at all.
Yeah.
No. Eradicator doesn't even give a shit about Eradicator.
No, but he's super
No,
even
no.
more powerful now.
So I did not actually get a chance to look at the variant covers for Crisis on Dark Crisis. I'll just say Dark Crisis number 7. Yeah, so the Super Sentai Super Batman is back. That's awesome.
Is it?
It's not even just like an homage cover. He's full on fighting Dark Deathstroke. So maybe that's he's
Maybe
gonna be in the issue. That's pretty sick. And another cover I
that
wanted
could
to bring
actually
Light to
elevate
was,
the series a little bit.
Maybe fucking the last minute Dragon Ball Fusion dance to save the day. Hell yeah!
Oh my God. Yeah.
But there's a cover with Pariah facing off against Billy Batson, Shazam, Firestorm, Captain Marvel, Captain Atom, and Power Girl, the second Power Girl, which I thought was very interesting because we've not seen that Power Girl in a long time. I think last time was Deathstroke Inc., not Deathstroke Inc.
Yes. Yeah.
That Deathstroke series. What I don't remember the name of the corporation
And
company was working, but that one, yeah, you know what? Yeah. Which is a very because
Defiance,
a lot of these characters, yes, Defiant, yeah. Yeah, we haven't seen these characters really in prominence in a while, save for Billy Batson.
Yeah.
So, are they going to be in this too? Are they the backup heroes? Are they maybe the Justice League that follows suit when the Justice League that John built fails?
That's an interesting team, though. Like, it's not really people you see together in any normal context.
Not usually, but they've all, save for Power Girl, they've all been on a Justice League before.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Power Girl I always forget that Captain Atom was on the Justice League for a time. No, I don't think she has.
A wildly underutilized good character.
Power Girl?
Yeah, I don't know.
Power Girl,
really, it seems like
Power
people
Girl,
have never really
depending
known what
on
to
who's
do
writing
with
her.
Captain Atom.
Captain Atom is who I
Oh,
was
sorry. Were you
speaking
talking about Power Girl or
No.
Captain Atom? Oh,
Rob,
yeah.
Rob asked if I was talking about
It feels like you. Oh, okay.
Wait, who's your super
Both asking the
underutilized
same
character
question.
that you're talking about? I'm kind of confused now.
I said
Oh
Power
wait, no,
Girl.
I was reaffirming that with Captain Atom.
Okay.
Wait,
Oh, what was Josh saying?
Okay, back up.
I'm
back up,
saying
back up.
Power Girl depends on who's
Power Girl.
writing it, but Captain
Oh, okay.
Adam is a highly underutilized character that,
Oh, for sure.
it's a great
Yeah.
character that nobody knows what to do with.
Yeah.
I think Firestorm is
Yeah.
too.
Well, it's kind of like
Definitely.
yeah, it's kind of like a lot of those Charlton characters that were folded into the DCU, like Question and Blue Beetle. I mean, we get good runs from them, but more often than not, they're kind of, they're not really serving super important roles or anything.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the case with a lot of them too. But anyway, what were we even talking about? I'm sorry, we totally went off
Just the
topic.
variant covers. Jesus Dick. I mean,
Okay,
Jesus
Yeah.
Nightwing. Sorry, that
very
was
clear.
blasphemous as fuck.
Yeah. Oh my
We're
God!
not here to
How
talk
dare
about
you?
Jesus Dick.
Smite you for your sins.
Oh man, a lot of
Sorry,
them
I
look
know
good.
You're all
And,
thinking about Jesus Dick now.
You guys calling it Super Sentai aside, composite Superman Batman, which is its right name, is
I would say that, but
looks
then the
so
composite
sick.
Superman we had was that weird robot that was literally half Batman, half Superman.
And
yeah,
it was
exactly.
something. And before you
That's
guys
what
are too
I
young.
think of when I think of that.
And it keeps going back. There's been more than one iteration of composite Superman Batman.
That's
This
true.
is just the
That's
latest.
very true.
And it looks cool
And
as
greatest.
shit.
Yeah, this is definitely the
yeah.
coolest one.
I mean,
I don't think anyone can dispute that.
nope. It is certainly, definitely. I would say, without having going back and reading it, probably the most powerful. Definitely the most cool looking.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Even though he has like a 14 pack.
I mean, he's a Super Saiyan. He's going to.
Hey, cool things don't have to look practical. They just have to look cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. Spawn.
If you combine the muscles
Speaking of Spawn,
of a Kryptonian and Batman, you're going to have extra muscles.
exactly,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
exactly.
I suppose you can't.
That was
argue
an attempted segue, which went belly
Sorry.
up.
Bloop.
Oh no,
Like
it's all good. No, we were
speaking
talking
of
about
Spawn.
abs, which is important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
I
abs
was saying,
certainly
no,
spawned
cool
off,
things
eh,
don't have to
Brandon?
look practical. Oh my God, where's our rim shot? There we go. Oh man. Yes. Speaking of things that look cool but are not practical, Spawn, and Spawn, as we know, has a rather big announcement coming up, or I guess not announcement. Announcement is come and gone, but has a rather big crossover coming up, I should say, with one Dark Knight, aka the Batman. I think we talked about the announcement that there would be a Spawn Batman crossover, another one, the third, if you will.
Another one.
And this is Batman Spawn, not Spawn Batman, which will this time be written by Todd McFarlane, not drawn by Todd McFarlane, with art from Greg Capullo. We really just knew that it was coming, and Greg Capullo was posting art on his Instagram page and Twitter and associated places. But we hadn't been given any finer details about the crossover just yet. But thankfully, the wait is over, as we now have a cover. We have many covers, in fact, as well as some interior artwork from Capullo, with inks apparently from Todd McFarlane. I didn't even know he was still doing that stuff.
No, neither did
but yes,
I. That kind of surprises me.
Yes. Yeah, no, he's still in the game, drawing anyway. But yes, the Batman Spawn crossover got its official cover release, as well as an official announcement date. That will be December 13th. So call your stores now. Make sure you're pre-ordering. Make sure you got your copy, and a copy for your friend, and a copy for your grandma who's never read Spawn before, but it's Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate around December.
Yeah,
and you're going to get her a gift
Capullo.
anyway, and it's going to be Batman Spawn.
Hashtag
exactly.
Capullo for Christmas.
I for one know I am going to give my brother a copy, a very special copy of Batman Spawn for Christmas. One, because I think it's going to be great, and two, because I'm too lazy to buy something else for him that I think he'll actually want. So you're going to get Batman Spawn, bro. But yes, this is featuring some variant covers from Brett Booth, Francesco Mattina, as well as some unreleased covers from Jason Fabuk, which I know I'm very excited to see, and Sean Gordon Murphy. So cool stuff there. Like I said, December 13th. Pre-order it now. Make sure it's in your inbox as soon as it comes out, so you can just read it and gobble it up and read it again. And yeah, I think that's it.
Fabok is on the level with Capullo, and the only when I talk about like my favorites, and I have no idea, but Jason Fabok just disappears straight from my mind. Yeah, if someone brings
phenomenal,
up,
but I think,
oh my god, he is so much.
Yeah,
I have an
no,
artist.
my mind is like that too. I think of like great contemporary Batman or just DC artists, and I'll think of a lot of the popular names that are thrown around right now, but Jason Fabok is someone who I literally follow him, so I see all the art that he posts, but it's like he just oozes out of my brain, and I don't know why. But he's
and
phenomenal.
It's crazy because
to see what kind of cover he's gonna have.
Capullo, Sampier. I mean, he's on Capullo's level as far as I'm concerned, and just wow. I feel bad that I squeeze him out of the brain every time until someone says his name, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love that motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah. No, what I think it is? I think the problem is he just hasn't had like that really incredible, book, incredible story to kind of hit you. And I know art is not obviously married to the story, but with someone like Capullo, he's known for Spawn, he's known for, Batman with Snyder. Like even me just saying that, Batman with Snyder, you think of that run, you think of the stories from that run, you think of everything else that entails. Yeah, whereas with Jason Fabok, I think the biggest stories that he's been attached to have been Three Jokers, Darkseid War, and Darkseid War is not a terrible story, but I wouldn't, exactly call it a legendary story, one that people talk about, with reverence. So I think I think he's someone who is absolutely in his prime, but is waiting for that, that epic story.
Deserves really that epic story because. Like you said, Darkseid War wasn't bad, but it's just not talked about, and it certainly isn't attention grabbing. Now, Three Jokers is for all kinds of different reasons,
for other reasons.
Unfortunately, he gets attached to such a huge book, and it's nothing but negative. And so I feel like that certainly didn't do him any favors.
Mm-hmm.
So. I might have missed the beginning. No, it did not. Are we suggesting Jason Fabok? So next year, when we get all the info for what's going to happen to the DCU next, post Dawn of the DCU or whatever they're going with, for the next big storyline, or maybe potentially Justice League book, we're doing Tom Taylor, Jason Fabok.
No, I want Fabok to do the Batman. That would be cool. Shit. It would be cool. I want Fabok on either a Batman book by himself for a run or a Superman book. I want Daniel Sampier to
Superman. I think would be a good fit. I think because he's done a lot of Batman stuff right now. Like I feel like if he breaks out of this comfort zone and does, Batman, or sorry, not Batman, or does Superman, or my personal pick, Green Lantern. I think it would just completely, launch his career. You can see it, can't you?
Really good.
Yeah.
Because
one of the things that I liked about Darkseid War is every time he drew Hal, it was like, oh man, you would be so great on like Green Lantern Corps or a Green Lantern book. And I think he's done covers, but he's never done like a designated Green Lantern book. But I'm imagining him going wild with all the constructs and the strange worlds, and I think it would really just push him to new heights. The question is, of course, who would write it? But that's TBD. We'll have to figure someone who could really bring his A game or their A game to the story.
Yeah.
My top two choices are going to be Daniel Sampier or Ryan Sook for Justice League.
For Batman or
no
for Justice League.
For Justice League. Daniel Sampier or Ryan Sook.
Daniel Sampier for sure.
I'm definitely up there for Daniel Sampier.
I think that's practically a done deal. Yeah. After
then I want Ryan Sook then.
Yeah. The problem is I love Ryan Sook, but I know he's not a monthly artist, which is just it's a little heartbreaking. So while I'm sure you
It
could get
is,
him for the
man.
first arc, he probably would not be the continuing artist for the entire series.
Fair enough. So
So you would have to kind of
anybody out there, get that boy
you'd
some
have to
Adderall.
yeah. Oh God. Well, I mean then it's gonna be all sloppy. You don't want that. But I don't know. I don't know what other news you have, so I don't have a clever transition primed and ready.
I am all out of news. How about you, Rob?
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, well let's hop into honorable mentions before we start talking about the books we
Yes.
covered.
Well, I do have one brief. I've one little brief bit of news that I think will make you very excited, Josh. Boom Studios, who I'm sure you know at this point, announced a new book joining their lineup, which they do pretty much every week at this point, and it gets everyone super excited. And that is a book called The Vicious Circle. It's a 3-issue series following two men with a curse. Every time they kill, they involuntarily travel across time and space. And the creative team that is attached to this is Mattson Tomlinson, or whatever his name is, and Lee Bermejo.
Yay!
Yes.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
So I withheld from sending you this on Discord because I know you've been Lee Bermejo radicalized recently.
I have.
So I saw this and I was like, Josh is gonna go nuts. So let me surprise him.
So yeah,
I'm super stoked to check this out. It's called Vicious Circle. It's going to be a 3-issue series. And yeah, I can't even think of the last time I've seen him do a creator-owned title. So I'm super stoked for this. The premise alone sounds awesome, but it looks super cool too. And these covers, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my
I
God.
wrote it down in the pay attention to. Oh my God, look at that freaking cover.
Yeah, it's so great.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you guys. Thank you so much, Brandon. When does that go on? Mattson Tomlin. I like Mattson Tomlin as well. He's a good writer.
Yeah, no, this is dropping in December. Don't have a specific date, but I'm sure that'll be coming soon. So definitely excited for this one. Boom Studios just has a great catalog right now. They're honestly they're my second favorite right after Image. Sorry, Dark Horse. I love you guys too, but every book that comes out of Boom is just so good right now. But anyway, that was the last bit of news. I figured I'd surprise you. So.
Well, I really appreciate that. No. Oh, I just saw something real quick while I was looking up the Vicious Circle, and I happened to just catch the side, just a couple of words from the search result, and it said first appearance Savage Dragon miniseries. I'm like, no, totally different Vicious Circle.
No, definitely not. That's a different Vicious Circle, I can guarantee. Unless Tomlin is just a huge fan of Erik Larsen.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think so, or he might be, but it's definitely not the same. So, all right, honorable mentions then. Man, I am so distracted by the news of this book now.
yeah, it's great.
All right, honorable mentions. Future State Gotham number 17, you might be into it, but it is gone off the rails for me, and I believe Rob said that it had jumped the shark.
Yeah, but in a different manner. Just fuck, I don't even remember what it is now that made me say that. Just a moment so wild and out of left field that you don't expect it, and you're like, what the fuck? But I'm still into the story.
I hope it turns it back around for me, because it's kind of it's getting a little bit too far away from what I was expecting it to be. Flash, Fastest Man Alive #1 was supposed to come out. That's just another origin story for Barry, which nobody needs and or at all wants. Jurassic League #5 is for all the
It's just a movie tie-in, right?
Yeah.
It really is just a movie tie-in, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like nobody needs this shit. But Jurassic League
also,
#5.
Isn't that movie like never coming out?
Oh, it's coming out 2023, but
yeah,
I mean,
it has to.
You mean 2028?
Maybe, or but shit, you said that. Now it's 2032.
My kids will see that movie when it comes out.
Agreed.
And they'll be in their
Crisis will
first
be out
year of
before
high
that movie.
school. Yeah.
Jurassic League #5 is for all the dino fans out there. You either love it or leave it. These guys love it. I went ahead and left it. And Batman Urban Legends #19. You know, I just when Urban Legends first came out, I was kind of outspoken about how much I did not think Gotham needed an anthology book, and how much it definitely did not need an anthology book, another anthology book put out on a monthly basis, DC that is. But man, I like it. 19 issues, and it hasn't been 100%. It's not 5 stars across the board for sure, but the stories for the most part are pretty darn good. You get some good young art in there, or young talent in there. You get pop-ups of superstars. This one, not too bad. Signal and the Outsiders, like I said, that one needs better art, but it's a great story, and I have been enjoying the Pennyworth files too. Those are fun, so check out Urban Legends, and that rounds out my honorable mentions.
Burnham was doing, I think, that Alfred story, so it kind of, I'm kind of curious to check it out now, but I've not read it.
I'm enjoying it. Go ahead and give it a shot.
I didn't know Chris Burnham was writing for himself now, so I think that's super cool.
Every time I hear you say Chris Burnham, I think of the artist for that Beast Wars comic from IDW, and it was just god awful.
Is that a different Chris Burnham?
It's a different. I always forget the artist name. Hang on.
Every time I hear the name Burnham, it just pops into my head. Bo Burnham.
No, it's Josh Burcham. It's not Chris Burnham, but it's the Burcham Burnham thing that I always forget the artist's name, but it sounds similar.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Josh Burcham, if you're listening, I don't hate your art. It just wasn't a good fit. It was god awful. Stick to the cars.
Well, maybe Chris Burnham should draw Transformers then.
I'm so down for that. Yeah.
Well, all right then. Honorable mentions over. Shall we move on to a specific kind of light?
Yeah. I wonder what our first book is.
Yep.
Ooh.
That would be Wonder Woman, which I'm going to pass over to Rob.
Yeah, I transitioned, so it was horrible. It's the wrong type of wonder. Anyway, so yes, this is Wonder Woman number 791. We have started the I say it's not in the book, but unofficially starting the countdown to number 800. Realistically, when they're 10 issues away, I figure it's a good time to start counting. So this is written by, as usual, Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad, with art from Marguerite Sauvage and letters from Pat Brosseau. Today we are starting a new story arc, and it is a welcome sight. Diana has gone back to Themyscira to basically pray at her mother's, what would you call it? Temple? Statue? It's not really a grave. It's a place to honor her mother.
Yeah.
And the spirit of her mother.
Like the not a mausoleum. Is it a mausoleum?
No.
I don't know.
Like
where the people are interred, the building? Yeah, that's a mausoleum.
I can't even think of the word, but it's not really a mausoleum.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I was thinking
it's a little dome with pillars and a statue of Hippolyta there. Oh. And I can't think of what it would be called.
In the last issue, we got the name of it, and I completely fucking forgot what it was.
Yeah.
What they're calling it. But let's just call
Yeah.
it a park feature.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's a park. There's a lot of greenery around, so it fits.
The
Okay,
power of the
so
park
Diana's
feature.
at the park feature of her mother, um, and the spirit of her mother appears in ghostly form to speak from Mount Olympus, giving her an explanation as to why she did what she did, and to give her warnings of the future. A little while later, she is visited by Philippus and Anahi, the Oracle of the Escacita, who gives her another warning herself that she's having nightmares. And so Diana uses the lasso of truth to jump into the nightmares and finds what looks like lotus flowers somewhere in Brazil, but within the lotus flowers are skeletons symbolizing death. And then you see people in hazmat suits collecting the lotus flowers, and then some red eyes that Diana vaguely recognizes. So together, they go off to Brazil and find the lotus flowers being collected by all sorts of farmers in boats, and they're they are being taken off to a hidden facility. With the Escacita's help, Diana takes down or knocks out one of the farmers and takes their place. Going undercover, she enters the facility, all the while letting Etta at Checkmate headquarters know what is going on. So she sneaks her way into the facility deeper in and finds it's a giant processing facility that these flowers hold intense healing properties if used right, but the scent is not exactly deadly or poisonous, but can really do a number on your senses and give you nausea. But some members of staff, if you will, have died due to the smell of the pollen. So as she gets deeper, she impersonates a doctor and is almost stopped by a couple of guards, but takes the guards out, sneaks into the facility that they were, or the room that they were standing guard at, and it's a laboratory filled with all sorts of different species of animals with glowing eyes for unknown reasons. And as she goes deeper while talking to Ada and letting her know what's going on, she finds none other than Barbara Minerva herself in full cheetah form, also gone a little feral with the yellow eyes and just growling constantly.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, definitely not that kind of growling. So,
Yeah, yeah. A little more
uh,
aggressive, I would assume.
yeah. um, First impression, much better story so far. It is the first part of this story arc, so I will refrain from giving too much to it right now. But it is already way more interesting than anything that went on with Cisco. So I'm all
Mhm.
for it. The art is really good. It's very detailed, very descriptive, and nice to look at. And it's nice to get to a Wonder Woman villain that matters. So yeah, fuck you,
Indeed.
Doctor Psycho, you dick. Do something. Yeah, that's right. You
Yeah,
can't because
I
you're in
thought this was
prison.
a yeah, yeah. I thought this was a better issue. Definitely a welcome departure from Milk, and I think that's all we'll say about that.
Yeah,
Nice to finally have some kind of resolution between Diana and Hippolyta, although I found the whole vague, like, their plans have been upset and I can't tell you who they are. I gotta go. Bye. It was a little cliche, but I'm sure we'll get more of that later, hopefully.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully.
aside from that, it was cool seeing Diana actually get to interact more with the Escacita. I hope we get more of that, especially with her being in Brazil. And then I thought it was a pretty solid hook at the end, seeing
yeah,
just what the hell happened to Cheetah. It's certainly not the first time we've seen Cheetah as kind of feral or out of her mind, but it's a decent enough hook that has me interested to see what happens in the next issue, which is more than I could say for the previous issues. So I gave this one a 7.75 out of 10.
yeah. That's an 8 out of 10 for me.
All
Backup
right.
notwithstanding.
What'd you say?
Backup notwithstanding.
backup notwithstanding. Yeah, let me sum up the backup for you.
Backup redacted.
It's completely okay to skip if it's not your thing. It's completely okay to skip if it is your thing. Young Diana says blah, blah, blah with a cameo by a knockoff Pokemon. End of book.
I would have even said knockoff Rain Dog from Multiverses. It reminded me a lot of that. It might have just been the color scheme, though. Yeah.
But so yeah, man, it is really good back to being back with the Amazon stories after such a big, huge tease about Amazon stories, and that is a welcome break from the dumb shit that we've had. Peace with Hippolyta's passing, Amazon's working together, actual emotion being shown in the book through the writing. Savage is always hit or miss with me, and this one kind of landed like right in the middle. There's nothing really wrong with the art. There's a lot of pretty pages. Generally speaking, this isn't my favorite style unless you go full. Okay, this is going to sound like I'm relegating it to just one artist, but I feel like if you're going to do this, you got to go full Sweeney Boo or like not at all. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody or not, but it's a little bit too soft.
I understand what you're saying, although I wouldn't say it's the best comparison.
All right,
but I get what you're saying stylistically. Yeah.
But the fucking colors are popping, man. There's barely any shading or shadow throughout, but the colors actually, the way that they're done, actually pull that off and make it okay. So like I said, there's little tiny things. But it's really nothing to complain about. I was just trying to explain how Savage isn't really my thing. But this is a setup for a potentially really good story. That is, unless... Oh, God, I almost don't want to say this to you guys. But I have an overwhelming feeling that these flowers are being mass-produced and processed as to be the active ingredient in Psycho Milk.
Well, let's not even go there.
Well,
let's keep it positive for today.
That's Brandon. We need to remember that story was left wide open before she came back to Themyscira. There was no closure or end to that.
Maybe that's one of those better left forgotten stories. Like, it didn't end, but maybe it's better that we just kind of forget it happened.
I would love to.
With that.
I would love to. With that. I don't see Clunan or Conrad. I don't see them forgetting it. Again, I can't. Well, I really hope I'm wrong.
What's that Greek like dish that you can eat that like makes you forget stuff? Is it ambrosia?
Yes.
It's like, I don't know. That's not it. Is it?
The nectar of the gods.
It's like something like that.
Yeah.
It's ambrosia. You can eat it and you'll forget.
Remove memories, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's hope that in true Olympian fashion, Clunan and Conrad have been feasting on some ambrosia, and they just kind of conveniently forgot the last story they wrote, and they're like, "Oh, well, let's just do something new."
Please, I couldn't mean that more sincerely. Stop fucking up Wonder Woman, please. Just give her good stories. Even if it's not solo Diana, which I'm totally cool with, man. Make a team book. Keep it a team book. I don't give a shit. Make it Wonder Woman. Whatever you want to do. Just no more crappy stories. In any case, I gave Wonder Woman... Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to gear up the next transition, but I forgot that you didn't give your score.
All right, well, let me pop that out real quick. Wonder Woman 791, I gave a 7.5.
Very cool. Well, we're still on the subject of Wonder Women. Oh, Rob, did you have to go?
No.
Okay.
Go where?
Oh, okay. I thought you said something. No, while we're still on the subject of Wonder Women, or Wonder Woman, let's continue with our next book, Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League. Excuse me. Wonder Woman #1. Our main story was brought to us by Tini Howard with art from Leila Del Duca, colors from Jordi Belair, and letters from Troy Peteri. And our backup story was brought to us by Dan Waters with art from Brandon Peterson, colors from Mike Atiyeh, and letters also from Troy Peteri. So after stopping by the inauguration of President Etta Candy, Wonder Woman whisks Etta away to Paradise Island, where she is commemorated as an honorary Amazon. They have a lovely feast that night, and Etta, who is a little bit concerned that she will not be able to make it back to the main homeland of the world in time, is reassured by Cheetah that I forget what it is, the time thing or whatever, the tapestry of time has been keeping them all in place. Yes.
Yep. Freezes everything.
Yes. So something like that is freezing time right now so that they can all sleep safe and not have to worry about what's coming next. The next morning, as Wonder Woman is training with Jumpa, she notices some strange things going on in the tower where her mother, as well as Baya and others, are working on something in secret that she cannot disclose. Hippolyta initially says that it's some kind of artist or sculpture or something like that, but Diana, who is curious to see it, does not entirely believe her, given that Hippolyta refuses to let her see this supposed sculpture. Diana, being impulsive, makes her way over to the place that Hippolyta is trying to hide and discovers that Hippolyta, as well as the other Amazons, have been building missiles, the very thing that they were sworn to destroy from man's world. Diana, who is trying to make sure that the missiles are not completed, leaps in after it, but is soon followed by the rest of her Amazon sisters and then is knocked down into the Well of Souls. This Well of Souls, however, has been corrupted and completely desecrated by none other than one we just talked about, a Mr. Dr. Psycho, who I assume is related to Mrs. Dr. the Monarch. I completely botched that one. But Dr. Psycho, who's chilling out in the Well of Souls, tells Diana of the secret little history that's been going on in man's world, one that she has conveniently forgotten. And that is that the Amazons, who had decided to take a little bit more of a hands-on approach in man's world, have also made plans to abandon the Earth to Gaia, given the fact that man and the rest of creatures on Earth, on Gaia, have completely desecrated it to the point that it cannot be recovered. So the Amazons' plan is to pretty much leave it in the dust, fire off some missiles, and then fly off into space to find a new Earth. Does that sound ridiculous? Sure, but it's comics, so get over it. Diana is naturally furious that the Amazons would abandon Gaia like that and charges after them, but unfortunately decides to stay with the rest of the members of humankind and abandon her Amazon sisters as they fly off into space, because she is, after all, a Wonder Woman, and that means for all mankind, not just the Amazons. Leaving Dr. Psycho on the shore, she gets some answers out of him and gets one step closer to realizing that this world that she is inhabiting is a false reality, but decides that whatever Dr. Psycho is rambling about is clearly wrong. Her duty, at least for right now, is to protect the denizens of Gaia and make sure that they are safe, regardless of what the Amazons think and regardless of what Dr. Psycho says. So that's our Wonder Woman story. I can go on to the backup, or we can chat about the main story right now. Up to you guys.
I'm good doing it individually. That's fine. I happen to score them individually as well. Did you want to give? Did you?
I did too, but I know last time. Yeah, I know last time you said we were doing like composite scores now, so.
I always did.
I didn't do that. I scored it individually, but I didn't know if you still want to do that. But anyway,
I always do both.
I'm probably gonna be in the minority for this, but I don't know. I must be on drugs or something. But these Dark Crisis stories, or at least the tie-ins, like I've been pleasantly enjoying them. They're not great, but they're fun peeks into alternate realities of worlds featuring our heroes, and I don't really hate that premise. They're shorter than I think they should be, and I think that would benefit from having these stories would benefit from having a full 30-page story as opposed to a 21 and a 10-page backup. But I understand that there's not really a ton they can do there. For now, I'm just kind of trying to have fun with the shorter stories and take it for what it is. So
Yeah.
I didn't really hate it. I thought it was a decent read, and I actually, I think last time, Rob, you had mentioned that these stories, given that they're all kind of individual stories, they don't really feel like they have a continuing story. But I actually feel like we're kind of getting a continuing story, especially with how Diana had confronted Dr. Psycho and was sort of getting closer to the idea that this world that she's living in is a false reality. And that is actually reinforced in the next story, which we'll cover. But I think we're kind of starting to get like a story, and maybe by the time we get to the Batman tie-in or the Green Arrow tie-in, I forget which one is last, but that's when we'll actually see all the heroes break free or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but I feel like you can kind of see the meta story, if you will. I don't think that's the right word, but you can see the larger story of they're all getting closer to the truth, but they're not quite there yet. Although I
I
guess
have a thing
Aquaman kind of
about
breaks
that,
that
but I'll
rule.
get
But
into
I
that
don't know.
after we talk about the backup.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, I didn't hate it. Really like the art. Layla Del Duca is someone that I really didn't discover until Future State of all things, and everything she's done since has just continued to impress me. And it's sort of surprising that she hasn't landed herself an ongoing or some kind of series, continuing
Mm-hmm.
series. So I hope that's the case soon because she did a hell of a job here, and I think she'd do a hell of a job on any other title. Though personally, I think it should be Flash. But that being said, very much enjoyed it, and I gave this one an 8.25 out of 10.
Well, I think I'm right there with you. I think the art looks pretty dang good all over in this book. I have found that these individual worlds, the one shots for them, are pretty enjoyable. I feel like this one was decent enough too. The dialogue I felt was either juvenile or kind of over the top throughout the whole thing, so
Hmm.
that didn't really read well for me. It's not horrible, but okay, so Teenie Howard doesn't necessarily have a voice. She has a mood, and it's like almost if she's gonna write an issue that's for fun, you can
Oh my
tell,
God.
you can read in the way that she is writing that she's just having fun, as opposed to when she started out on the Catwoman, or for the most part, her entire Catwoman run, for the most part, is got a bit of an edge and a seriousness to it. But when it was time for
That is a
Catwoman and Harley to
phenomenal
go on a,
description.
yeah, well, say again.
I said that is a phenomenal description. She doesn't have a voice; she has a mood.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
I mean,
entirely
it's
true, but I
Yeah.
love the way that sounds.
if you read her first two issues of Catwoman and then you read the road trip issues of Catwoman, you would almost think that it was two different people writing. And that's okay because she lightens up her voice when things aren't quite so serious. And I can't say the same for a lot of writers. A lot of writers just are where they're at. Maybe another one that pops to mind that can kind of go back and forth between everything is Tom Taylor. But I didn't think that this was horrible. It's so far it's not my favorite Worlds Without Story. It's probably my least favorite Worlds Without Story. This one, because it was like there was a whole lot of because comics in this one. But I don't hate it. It just wasn't for
Didn't
me.
you
The art.
rip apart? Oh, I was gonna say, didn't you rip apart, or I think more appropriately, rip a new asshole, the Dark Crisis Superman one? This sounds a
Yes,
lot
because
nicer than that one.
it pissed me off. I'm sorry. That's I had forgot about that one. So yeah, this is not my least favorite. This is not my least favorite at all. That one was absolutely horrible. And thanks for bringing that back to my memory. My memory was nice
Uh-huh.
enough to let that one go, Brandon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now
Well, I'm
now
sorry
now
for
now I
cursing you like
I
that.
can't
Now
see
you'll
anything
never
but
forget.
Jonathan. I can't see anything but Jonathan dressed up like Robin now. But
Mhm.
yeah, I gave this one a 7 out of 10. Far better than the 5 out of 10 that I gave the Superman one.
It's so so. Yeah, it of all if okay. I don't really have notes for the Wonder Woman story. That's the thing. I can agree that the dialogue is a little weird. Um, but I don't know how to feel about it. If I'm comparing to the other Worlds Without a Justice League stories, it it might be on the bottom right now, just from least interesting, or in terms of how does this make sense? Okay, when I'm reading these, every time I read a new issue, I don't necessarily have notes for the story. I have notes for the series. So I'll hold off until we finish Martian Manhunter because I have a lot to complain about.
Am I missing any of them? There's Aquaman, um, there's Aquaman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern, right?
And then there's Martian Manhunter next, and we had
A
Hawk
hot
Girl.
girl.
Well,
Yeah.
but not that have already come out though, right?
No, Hawk Girl was with Green Lantern. She was the backup.
Oh yeah, in the backup. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Speaking
And
of
then next is Green Arrow
people,
with Black Canary, and then it's Batman with who the hell is last? Zatanna.
Zatanna? Yeah,
Yeah.
Zatanna. Which
I
I
mean, I'm
want to
not
say
confirmed that
is.
that's the backup, but Zatanna was there in JL 75.
I'm pretty sure it's Zatanna.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I've completely
the
blanked on
girl
who's
has
doing
been
that. I know Cy Spurrier is doing.
the girl has been picking
Oh, I
up
was just
and
gonna say I know Cy
showing
Spurrier
up
is doing that one.
in important yet very tiny segments, but she's been showing up in rather important roles and important pieces for quite some time now.
Mhm.
Well, she's always been pretty important. Well, I guess that's a relative term, because important may be more important to some than others. But yeah, I would say probably since Justice League Dark in the New 52, she's always kind of had an important role.
Indeed. Well, how about this? Oh man,
Mar-
sad because
we're
comic
doing
books about Wonder Woman. There's another story in this one that's a lot about because comic books, but this one was I don't know in a different way.
Yes,
You
yes.
yeah.
Yes, well,
want
this is our Martian Manhunter backup. As previously mentioned, this is from Dan Waters, Brandon Peterson, colors from Mike Atea, and letters from Troy Pateri. Really
Eight
interesting use of
colors.
black and white here. Yeah, yeah, I know. It threw me for a loop too, but there are actually colors attached to this.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, yeah, this is the John Johns Martian Manhunter, or more accurately, Martian Squid Hunter backup story where John Johns is investigating a murder that causes him to question what he may know about his reality. In this strange, bizarre version of Earth, humans have evolved to take on the facial and mental abilities of squids. And John no longer feels, or squid, I don't know, I forget the plural. John no longer feels like an outsider in this paradise. When confronting a hostage situation, the assailant has the form of John's Martian form and informs him that his whole reality is a construct. John ignores him, guns him down, frees the hostage, and resigns himself to his regular life, just like a good noir detective. Um, I didn't have a lot of comments about this. Really dug the art. Probably the best I've seen from Peterson. I think he should do more stuff in like black and white or close to black and white. Actually worked really, really well in this. Or just pair with Mike Atea more.
oh yeah,
Whatever he did this time worked. Kind of reminded me of like you probably won't know this, but Jesus Saiz, who was doing a number of books in the early 2000s. I think most recently did like or is doing Punisher right now. That's probably why he's on my mind.
Oh,
It
okay.
really reminded me of like Jesus Saiz for some reason.
okay.
But yeah, no, thought
Yeah,
it
I
was
could see
cool.
that.
Love the setting. Yeah, love the setting. Uh, Interesting backdrop having them all be squid people. But
Ish.
I think it works if you're trying to highlight what John's desires are. And even if it is a very threatening look, I love the way John is drawn, where he's got like this guy in a chokehold with the 6 shooter aimed right at his temple. It just looked really cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
I gave this one an 8 out of 10.
Uh, I know the gimmick has been done to death now, but the black, white, and red art in here is just fucking fire, man. And the best use of the whole black, white, and red shit that I have seen since they started doing it. And I'm very happy that black, white, and red was not a part of the title. But Martian Squid Hunter, I don't care if he looks like a squid or not. Don't call him that. That's just weird. He's like a hard gristled Chicago cop in this issue, and he's pretty arrogant and out in the open about how unimpressed he was with humans before they started splicing their DNA to be able to have camouflage or regenerate or any of the other bonuses that he mentioned in the story. It's a small crime story and I'm trying to figure this out. What happened there? Because it's like Martian Manhunter killed off himself, right? So does that mean that he's refusing to leave? Because that, to me, this is the only outright story so far where we've seen the character not have even the slightest clue that they are living in a fantasy world, and that seems odd out of all people for it to be Martian Manhunter. But it looks.
I think
cool
that's why, because it's probably his subconscious trying to break him free. Like, there's an aspect of his mind that is running around that's essentially like, "Hey, I'm gonna try and get your attention, cop guy, as much as I can in any way I can to make sure that you know that something is not right here, that this reality is a construct." So that's how I took it, at least. It's a part of his mind, a part of his subconscious that's sort of running around trying to get his attention, to like get him to wake up and realize that it's all a lie.
I hope that's what happens, and I hope that I guess it's going to happen off panel. Hopefully, who knows? But it looks cool as hell, and the story is pretty damn interesting. Like we mentioned, it's kind of open ended, and at the very end, it's the only spot where you see anything other than black, white, and red. They throw in green for the Martian Manhunter in his normal form, and that makes it look even cooler, man. I gave the backup an 8.5 out of 10, rounded out the score for the book to 8. How about you, Rob?
So yeah, Martian Manhunter, easily my favorite one. But I love a good detective story, as I've always said, especially a John Jones detective story. Martian Manhunter is one of my favorite detectives in the DCU, just for the lengths he can go to and the abilities he can bring to the work. It was a lot of fun, and it did actually bring us closest that we've seen so far to one of the heroes trying to break out of the world. I could totally see Martian Manhunter being the one to have that level, being so mentally endowed to begin with. But we did see Aquaman, while he was in the world, he didn't realize it at the time, but there were stuff. There were panels with him seemingly outside of it where he said, "I'm going to kill you when I get out of here."
At the very end.
Yeah, that's the only part
very
where that
questionable
sort
as
of
to what that was.
breaks the
Yeah.
rule.
Yeah. So my
And Superman. Superman said that shit too.
Yeah. My issue with these one shots is all the worlds are interesting. They're very cool concepts, but we are only going to get 22 pages of each one, and then that's it. And if we had a full, like, 3-issue mini or like an Elseworlds book dedicated to these worlds that we get to see more and have like a deep story and something fun with it, that'd be great. Because so far, all it is like a tease. There's like a preview for something that's never coming out because Jeff Johns wrote it.
Multiverse of the metaverse of the omniverse, son. They're gonna throw this shit into one of them.
I freaking hope so. And what else was I gonna? I don't even remember all my complaints now. Shit. The Wonder Woman one was just, while Martian Manhunter seemed the most interesting to me and dealt the most in terms of the overall story, Wonder Woman was the least, because if this whole thing, if all these concepts are supposed to be the thing that the character desires most, their perfect world, their world that they could dream of, or the things that they miss the most. You definitely saw that with Superman and Aquaman, and definitely with Jon Stewart. But with another podcast I listened to them today talking about it. It's a very Green Lantern centric podcast. They did raise some interesting points about how it's a very curious, perfect world for Jon Stewart, considering people missing in the current setting. But beyond that, it is a nice setting for Jon Stewart and a very interesting setting for Hawkgirl as well. But Wonder Woman, I do not see this as her perfect world, especially if her mother's ready to just kill the rest of the planet. It doesn't make sense that that's her perfect world. Did you guys
notice that the missiles were made out of clay?
I was trying to figure
magic
that
motherfucking missiles.
It did look weird. So it really, she wasn't lying. It was an art project.
Technically.
Yeah.
It's a missile until they need to ride inside of it and fly out to space. And then it's a rocket.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm very
fucking
conflicted.
Transformer.
Oh shit. A transformer made out of clay, that'd be weird. I'm very conflicted on these one shots still. I'm enjoying them. I like them, but I'm disappointed because it's all we get. And as far as the overarching story goes,
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Exactly.
You are all set to be a dead, my man. You are all set to be
I'm so ready.
Yeah.
I'm so ready. I'm not that ready, but I'm definitely ready. Yeah.
The next one, at least what I remember reading the solicits a while back, with Green Arrow, Black Canary, promises to have some deeper revelations, which would be interesting. And I could totally see Green Arrow and Black Canary sharing a world, as opposed to each having their own world. At least I hope that's the case, because I imagine both of them, their perfect world just includes each other.
Okay, so here's my
thing. From the preview images we've had, it looks like they're going to be separate worlds. So
damn,
I know, because it looks like whatever Black Canary setting is different from Ollie's.
They're fucking Mark Guggenheim in this shit again.
Whoops!
They always do.
Yeah.
Need to keep Guggenheim and Berlanti as far away from any projects as possible. But
kill Laurel, bastard.
I'm saying, but I think what's going to happen is the Green Arrow story is going to be about Green Arrow feeling like he's more important to the League. That he has a more prominent role in the League, and that Black Canary is there and is very supportive of him. And I think that the Black Canary book is going to kind of be the exact opposite, where Ollie doesn't need to be a hero anymore, and they just live their life. I feel like
okay with that, but that was also like
medieval times.
That was also the end of his last run. That was actually the overarching story.
I'd be good with either one.
Ollie saved the city. He saved Seattle, and then the League was like, you know what? You are a hero after all. And then he's like, I appreciate that, but you know what? I've realized I learned something today. I don't need you guys. And then he went back to Seattle with his team and lived happily ever after with Black Canary.
Yeah.
Good times.
That was the hard traveling hero arc, which was one of my favorites of that Rebirth.
That was a very fun story.
Takes down a satellite, and the League are like, Ollie, you've really matured. We want you to be a part of us now. We even got you a chair so you can sit at the table with us. And he's like,
welcome to the end.
So here's the thing. So here's the thing. A year ago, I totally would have been down for that, but your boy has grown up a lot, and I think I realized I kind of want to do my own thing, and I'm just like, God damn it, we just got the chair for you.
Yeah, I think
$4,000 chair.
It's made out of clay.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was especially since that whole arc he goes from city to city and has team ups with all the heroes, and they're all like, "Yeah, you're such a
Yeah,
loser."
that was great.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, they're like they see him and they're like, oh, Green Arrow, are you serious? Because they know him as like the douche from the New 52, but then they're like,
yeah.
wow, you've really matured and you've grown a beard too. Like clearly you've made some changes since we met. It's like thanks guys. Glad to know the superhuman community is so supportive.
Oh, I mean,
Makes me
obviously,
laugh.
if you want to be taken seriously, just grow a damn goatee.
Yeah,
That's Batman's superpower.
exactly. That's
He's
that's
respected
that's what I would
without the
do.
goatee.
That's it.
Suppose that
Yeah,
goes double for the rest of the beardless members of the league too. They all have their respect without facial hair.
Yeah, but they got superpowers. It doesn't matter.
okay.
All right.
You may
As
be
for
onto
issue
something
though,
though. Maybe that's why Green Arrow grows his facial hair to compensate, so he can be
yeah,
remembered in the
I
league because he doesn't have powers. That could be a legitimate theory. You never know.
Kevin Smith will figure
uh
it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
As for the score though, I gave the whole book an 8.25.
Right
It's
on, right
enjoyable
on, right on.
as all the
Nice.
others are. Just please give us more.
All right. Well, then I guess that moves us on over to the next book. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Batgirl's number 10. Josh, take it away.
You know what? I think I'll do that. Uh, the story.
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you a question real quick first, Brandon. I feel like in a lot of books we see written by, and on some books we see story by. So, am I to
Yes.
assume story by is more along the lines of the Dan Abbott kind of method of writing?
How do you mean?
Or not? I said Dan Abnett. That's not what I meant. Um, oh damn! Now I completely forget the Marvel method. I forgot the dude's name.
Oh,
Superstar writer.
no. So unless you see unless you see script by someone else where someone's outlining the story but someone else is scripting it, you can
Right.
just sort of take it to mean that whether they say it's a story by or script by, it's all being written by this one person or this team of people. I think it ultimately just comes down to what you actually put in the script. So, because you have to, and this is something I learned. Oh, shit. We lost Rob
He'll be back.
yet again. Oh, okay. Anyway, this will just be a brief thing, but what I learned is you actually write the credits, like your name and the credits of your co-creators in the script. So they probably just choose, okay, do we say story by or script by? Whatever, and then just put it in there. But unless it's designated as something separately, you can just assume they're working from the full script method, not the Marvel method,
So
and not with a separate scripter or something.
what would you what would you have to see in those credits to assume that it is written with the quote unquote Marvel method?
I mean, really, there is nothing you can see unless the creators tell you that they wrote in the Marvel method. Because really, the thing is, there's no way to see it in a script without seeing the script itself, which in the
Fair
case of
enough.
the Marvel method would be a very limited script because it's working from plot-based storytelling as opposed to a full script which writes out all the um, all the panels and all the dialogue and all that stuff. The Marvel method is just you're writing the plot of the entire issue, or sometimes you're working page by page. So you say, here's what's happening in page one and page two, but you're not saying like page one, panel one, this happens, panel two, this happens, and this
Right.
character says this. Plot based writing is just I'm saying what's happening on this page. However you want to, sketch that out. artist is up to you, which is a wild method. But if it worked for Stan and Jack, I suppose it can work for anyone.
So when you see story by, script by, or written by, you just take it to mean all the exact same thing?
Yeah, it's essentially this the same thing. Like there's really no way to determine whether or not they're working from plot based versus full scripts, aside from
Gotcha.
actually getting that answer from the creators themselves.
I have
But
just,
yes,
that's
I hope
something
that
I've just
clears that up.
wondered for so long. But all
Yeah, I
right,
think it's just a
on
personal thing. Like if you're
personal
putting the credits
preference.
in a page, like maybe you're just like, yeah, like, oh, do I say story? Do I say script? Do I say, because sometimes they have
Written,
written by and sometimes they have writer, right?
right.
Or
Yes.
like it'll say like written by Stephanie Phillips or Stephanie Phillips writer. Like I think it's just a personal thing. So
Gotcha.
however you want to do it's how you do it.
All right, well, this is how I want to do it. Story by Becky Cloonan and the evil that is Michael W. Conrad. Neil Goujon art, colors Rico Renzi, and Becca Carey with lettering. Wrapped in a cover from Jorge Corona and Sarah Stern. Starts out with an unknown bad guy being shown as Killer Moth's boss before shifting to the Batgirls doing research in a library trying to break the strange cipher that they've received, going off their only clue, an eyeball. They grab loads and loads of books. Steph meets a dude named Kyle Mizoguchi that will probably show up later, and they have no luck there, so they take the books home. Kind of. They exit the library and get into it with Killer Moth. Have no clue what they did with the books. But I guess they just left them there. Oh, that will be one pissed off librarian, let me tell you. But Killer Moth
Tell me
gets
about
away
it.
after shooting them with a silken web and then drops them into a cart at the fish market. So next stop is the showers. Meanwhile, Babs is meeting with Commissioner Montoya to see if they can work together. Though Montoya says that she trusts and always had trusted Oracle, she knows that she can't stop Oracle from hacking the police. And she says that she'll do anything for Gotham except team up with Bats. Best she can do is just not get in Oracle's way. But that's all. After Babs poofs on Renee, Babs stops at Dick's house for no reason other than to grab a piece of ass before she heads home. Alicia, it's true. Alicia shows up with bubble tea and donuts and reveals that Grace O'Halloran, the news reporter that went crazy in the Spellcaster arc of Batgirls and the news. She's now started up her own podcast called Times of Grace. And that prompts, after it being brought up, that prompts Babs to ask if Alicia could get Grace some anonymous messages. That's when the Batgirls announce that they crack the cipher and get directions to meet at what they infer is the top of Gotham's Zoo Bat enclosure. They're assuming so. I can't remember exactly what the cipher broke into, but that's basically what it said. But the riddles all of a sudden make Bab just now begin to suspect that maybe these riddles could be the work of the Riddler. But as it turns out, it's not. It is someone that goes by the name of Mr. Fun. And that's all, folks. That's the end of the issue. Mr. Fun sounds dangerously close to the main villain in I Am Batman that we've been told is Mr. Giggles, I believe. Mr. Fun and Mr. Giggles, if I'm correct, if I'm remembering correctly. But maybe they work together
Maybe
like
they'll team
Mr.
up with
Agony
Mr.
and Mr.
Ecstasy and
Ecstasy.
Mr. Agony over and yeah.
That's literally
Yeah,
what
I was
I
gonna
was just
say, maybe
saying.
we'll team up Mr. Ecstasy and Mr. Agony. Yeah, we're on the same wavelength, dude.
It's, the Batgirls breaking the fourth wall, even if it's just the caption boxes of whom I still cannot figure out is supposed to be talking to me. That's not for me. Let's leave it to the originals, She-Hulk, Deadpool, Ambush Bug. I feel like that's all comic books need for fourth wall breakers. Cass's cape is 100% absolutely just ridiculous in this book. I'm not a fan of how sloppy the art got in a lot of places. The Batgirl's not Oracle, but well, Steph, she kind of sort of acted like she didn't know who Killer Moth was, but that might have just been poorly written sarcasm. Uh,
Yeah, I didn't know what that was about either.
Yeah, why does he have web shooters?
They surely would know who Killer Moth is.
Yeah, I mean he's a classic Batman B-lister. And why does he have web shooters? That's totally the wrong insect, y'all.
I don't know. He's moonlighting as Spider-Man or something.
I guess. Huh. The flying spider, killer moth spider. Oh God, there's a lot of nightmares going on there. But here Montoya is, well, in Gotham for one, and she still hates masks and says that she's given up being one. Yet we see later that she hasn't. She calls Batman the devil. She talks about how she loves this city and will do anything for it. Well, except not go to New York for a job offer, I guess. But this is just a silly book. At the end of the last arc, I felt like we were getting I don't want to say serious, but they kind of had found their lane as to like the middle ground between the exceptionally juvenile and gritty feel that they were bouncing back and forth with. And I feel like they just kind of lost that stride and they can't make up their mind again. I'm not a fan of what's going on in there right now. And I love Cass most of all, Cass and Oracle. Steph is nice to have there, and I feel like it's just a bummer that they're not given their fair due. Cass is a bad Mamma Jamma, and she should be in bad Mamma Jamma stories. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Interesting.
Fair enough. I did not love this issue, but I did not hate it. I did not hate it nearly as much as you. I had a couple of minor notes just to start. First, if Steph starts dating fucking Kyle Mizuguchi from Gotham Academy, I'm gonna quit this book. I'm gonna exit. I'm gonna exit and never return. Kyle is probably the most boring character from Gotham Academy. I know, but he's the most boring character from Gotham Academy. Like, of all the people that you could have paired him up with, although mind you, the other boy who's most prominent, Colton, is gay, so it's not really like there's an option there. But I know Cloonan's like putting him in the book, and I know Maps is going to be in the next issue. I know Cloonan's like putting him in the book because she works on Gotham Academy and she still has a soft spot for these characters. But I'm just saying, like, of all the people you could pair Steph with, fucking Kyle, so boring. All he does is play tennis and whine about how Olive doesn't love him anymore. But anyway,
well, maybe he's moved on from Olive.
He's not romantically paired. Like, I would rather see Cass and Steph date each other before I would see Kyle and Steph date each other. Like, Kyle is such a milquetoast, uninteresting character.
They seem to have included.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
They seem to have included a scene in here just to push away that thought that there is no hooking up between the Batgirls. And when they're getting ready for the shower, they kind of dissuaded that whole thing here, so that there wasn't any question. I believe as they introduced Mizuguchi, because I think that he's gonna end up being Steph's love interest. But let's be honest. So there's 3 Batgirls. Steph is undoubtedly the most boring of the Batgirls. So it kind of fits. What? Oracle and Cass are far better Batgirls.
Say that Steph's the best.
Steph is not the best.
That's a topic for another day. But anyway,
Bab is
maybe not the
Oracle.
best physically, but she's definitely the most entertaining. But she wasn't a great Batgirl either. She's probably arguably better as Oracle. But again, topic for another day. My final point was just that I think it is kind of sweet that both Tim and Steph, who were of course romantically linked for years, now both have incredibly boring and milquetoast love interests. Maybe if Tim and Steph ever get back together, they can have Kyle go off with what's his name, Bernard, and they can go and be boring together in some book that I won't read. That I think would be the more ideal option, but I know it won't happen.
Gotham
But yeah,
University.
I guess in a beautiful way, they're in sync. Yeah, Gotham University, and you can watch Kyle at his boring ass tennis matches get cheered on by Bernard, who has no personality. But in any case, yeah, not a fan of that. Hope that doesn't happen. Otherwise, I will exit this book. Aside from that, decent issue. Nothing great. I think the mystery here is being a little generous, or it is a little generous to call it a mystery per se, because it feels like so, I don't know, it feels like so, I don't know if forced is the right word, but it's like, oh, cast, no, coincidental is the word I'm looking for. Because for mystery, they're really trying to, hammer in on the detective work, and they do kind of do that, but it literally, they don't solve the mystery by coming up with some clever revelation or some clever device to solve it. It's literally just, oh, that book that Cass happened to be reading just helped out at the last minute. Like, oh my God, what a coincidence. And that felt a little, I don't know, too cheap for my taste. It didn't feel like they were
Whoa.
actually solving the mystery. It was just like, oh, we just
Whoa.
stumbled onto it.
Hold on a second
Whoa,
here, man.
weird.
Are you saying that you felt like that was cheap? The people who came up with psychic milk, you think that they wow, man. Wow.
That they're
Wow.
not clever. Wow, I know. Imagine my shock. Yeah, no, I guess I was giving them a little too much credit.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, no,
still
that
refuse
that
to blame
felt,
Becky
I don't know,
Coonan
just a little
because when
cheap.
she was writing by herself, I loved her stuff. Anyway,
Yeah, no, Becky Cloonan is a great writer. Very underrated run on Punisher. And Gotham Academy is one of my favorite
yep.
books, even if I just totally trashed one of its characters. Um, but yeah, no, I just thought that felt a little like too coincidental. Like they didn't come up with a clever cipher or some kind of clever methodology, probably because it would have required the writers to be clever. They just stumble onto it because Cass happened to be reading that Edgar Allan Poe book, which anyway, so nothing too great there. I hear what you're saying about the characters and how it felt like the series was getting a little bit more serious, and I feel like it's still maintained that. I mean, the art may be cartoony, but I feel like the tone that we're at now is much different than when it was when the series first started. So even if this issue seemed a little bit sillier, I still feel like we're in a much different place. And then finally, the Montoya stuff. I know a lot of people are upset, and I'm right there with them. I do think it's definitely hypocritical for Montoya to talk about how much he's against masks operating in not just Gotham City, but major cities, and then runs off to be the Question with Jace Fox. But the way I interpreted it was she's talking about the public facing side of being a commissioner, where she can't really be seen, and this was the flaw of Gordon, she can't really be seen as teaming up with the masks just because of the reputation that has brought to people like Gordon in the past, where they were willing to work with vigilantes and everyone knew it, even if they tried to deny it. But she realized kind of the pitfalls of doing that, so her administration is going to not work with them publicly, but she kind of acknowledges, like, yeah, you could hack in if you want to. Is it ethical? No, but I know you're going to do it, and it's probably for the greater good. So, like, I'm not going to stop you. I'm just not going to work with you on the public-facing side. And I get that from a practical standpoint. Like, yeah, you probably don't want that bad PR, even if it is hypocritical to say that as you're running out and being in question. But all in all, despite some flaws, not a terrible issue, not a great issue, but not the worst. Certainly not the worst of this series. So I gave this one an 8 out of 10.
Okay, so Brandon, you're saying Steph is the best Batgirl?
That's what he said.
I'm not saying she's the best Batgirl. I'm saying she's the second best Batgirl.
Oh, okay.
Who are you saying
She's
is
my
the best
favorite
Batgirl?
Batgirl, but Well, the best is obviously Cass, just from a physical standpoint. Probably not the best detective, but I mean, if we're just talking about people who are worthy of the Batgirl title, then yeah, it's probably Cass. But second is
Hands
Steph,
down.
just easily the most entertaining one. And I mean, if you haven't read her run on Batgirl, which was brief, only 24 issues, but just probably one of my top picks for like top 10 underrated runs at DC. She just had a great time in the Batgirl costume, and would have loved to have seen her continue that in that era a little bit more. But alas, Flashpoint had to happen.
I just talked Rob into reading Gail Simone's run on Batgirls.
Yes.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I'm so
All right,
happy.
so-
Such a
So
good
on
run.
that note, Josh, you're saying the best Batgirl is Cass?
Oh God, yes. And
Okay.
and hold on. And to me, that's because one, I feel like Babs has the Nightwing argument going on. She's just not really been that character for a long time. I don't care how many times she's suited back up. She's the Oracle now. Like Dick isn't a Robin.
Well, I agree
He's
with
fucking
that.
Nightwing. So
Yes.
with the lack of very many options going on with Batgirl's Cass, who has received, she's a bad motherfucker. She was raised as an assassin, and she received detective training from Batman. So I think that puts her above.
But she was never
Stephanie.
good at it, is my point.
Well, no, and that's the thing. Stephanie,
No,
however,
not as a
Stephanie is good at
detective. Yeah.
Stephanie is good at stalking people, mostly
Stephanie
on social
was
media.
Stephanie was a better detective. If you read her run and her time as spoiler, Stephanie is a better detective, but she's not a better fighter, which has always been her problem because she's really clever at thinking. That's why I think she was such a great pair with Tim because she could always point out these different perspectives that Tim couldn't see, which I think made her a great detective. She just wasn't a very good physical fighter. That's why
But
they work so well as a team.
When
Tef's
when was the last time that
Steph
they
is a smarter
represented
thinker.
that?
What do you mean?
When was the last time that we
James
really
Tynion's
saw
Detective Comics.
Steph doing that? Because for the most part, she's written as somebody
Yeah,
who
no,
would
literally.
binge watch Desperate Housewives of New York or whatever.
Well, that's just poor writing. Yeah, I mean, Steph has been the more personable one, but she's not an idiot. I think that's just the wrong perception that people have. She's always been very intelligent, even if people don't always see it. That was one of the things that Kate Kane, Batwoman, pointed out. It's like Steph is an incredible thinker. The problem is she just doesn't have the physical prowess to match, and it often makes her look more inadequate than she actually is. But when we got to see her, that is actually one of my favorite issues of James Tynion's detective run. I think it's like 957, where you basically see her, infiltrating the GCPD and some of these other places all on her own, figuring out all the technology, how to neutralize it, how to get into Monster Town without any assistance from Batman or anyone else. So much so that she impressed Anarchy, and Anarchy was literally like, "I like you, Steph. One, because I think you're super smart, and two, because I kind of want to bang you, but that's neither here nor there. I want to invite you to be a part of our hidden utopia," and then it goes off into a whole other arc. But no, Steph, I think, smarter Batgirl, probably the closest one to being on par with Babs, just does not have the physical prowess to match. But that's a recent example. That's like as recent as 2017, 18, I think.
Okay, I guess that's recent enough considering we change banners every 2 to 3 years now. So I mean, okay. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, my point was you're both wrong. It's Babs.
the Babs isn't back.
No, we're all wrong. It's Huntress. She was Batgirl for a very brief time during No Man's Land. No, wait, I got it. It's what's her name? It's
Cassie King.
Charlotte Gage, whatever.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, it's Bet Kane.
Betty Kane, yeah. Yeah.
You guys are kind of hurting my feelings here.
But I'm serious.
Charlotte Gage Radcliffe, that's her name.
Except I love
Babs
Huntress.
takes
So
Who's
the not she doesn't have all the best features of like the best abilities of Cass and Steph, but she does take combinations of both of them plus bring something extra to the table. So Babs will forever be the best Batgirl, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah, but you're gonna say Dick is the best Robin too.
Oh no,
Well, he was the best Robin when he was Robin, but
I don't even.
he's no
I
longer
wouldn't even
Robin.
say
He's
that. Tim's the best Robin.
Oh, I would say that for
Tim
sure.
is the best Robin for sure.
Oh no,
Yeah, Tim is the best Robin. Tim
Dick was
Tim
definitely the best
Robined
Robin.
himself into becoming a
Dick
Robin.
in his time as Robin. Dick in his time as Robin founded the Teen Titans, founded the new Teen Titans, served the longest for Batman without having to quit, and was the first person, the first one, and most people don't even know this, the first sidekick to ever carry his own solo feature, and I want to say it was All American Comics or something like that in like 1949. And everyone's like, no, Tim was the first one who had his own solo feature. You're wrong.
No, not
So thank you, Batman Encyclopedia, that I got in like fourth grade. But no, yeah, Dick, in my opinion, I mean, I'm sure there's bias there, no doubt, but was the best when he was Robin, and is well, I mean, I don't think there's any competition for best Nightwing, but
who knows with what DC's coming up? Next thing you know, in the DCU, Nightwing could be you. Nightwing will be Brandon Chandler.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to see that. Oh God, I would love to see that. I don't think the world would love to see that. Terrible. I don't have the ass for it, I'm afraid.
That is a necessary quality, unfortunately.
Sexist.
Yeah.
All right, I think I've interrupted you enough, Rob. I'm sorry. I'm going to let you actually talk about Batgirls. How's that feel?
I'm actually going to talk about the book now. So,
yeah, let's do that.
So the whole like purple text boxes thing, I've been trying to figure that out since the first friggin' issue, who that is, and it just dawned on me in this issue. It's really just one of the, like, a campy narration, I think, is all it is. It's
like the old Marvel books. I
yeah,
that's how I'm interpreting it.
It's
like
Hello True Believers kind of deal. It's like you're watching Batman 66, and it's that guy saying, "Stay tuned for next week at same bad time, same bad channel" kind of deal.
It's exactly
one of
like
those
that.
people.
Exactly
right?
Like
yeah,
that.
That's how I saw it, and I saw it in
that.
such a better light. Yeah,
it's not exactly like that, because that kind of shit happened at the very beginning of the story or at the very beginning of a commercial, and in
no.
I
think
like,
at least with the Marvel stuff,
time.
it would continue. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's exactly like that in 66, so but like that example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's definitely like the old Marvel captions where they would be like, so that was fun. All right, let's go over here now. Like halfway through the issue, like, what the fuck? Like, let me just keep reading about Thor and Captain America. Why are we at this random scene in New York City with these characters I don't care about? And you know, Stan and his scripts would very cleverly be like, well, that was quite a scene, but now we have to leave and go over here now. And it's like, come on, man, don't do that to me. But it is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's just a
Grant
little bit
kind of talks about that in Super Gods, where it's like, yeah, it's this weird sort of meta connection that you have between the writer and the reader, where even though they're not in the same room, they are having a conversation in a sense, which is a lovely idea, I think, though the conversation is definitely one-sided if we're thinking of it in that way. But yes, yeah, I do kind of have a soft spot for those weird old captions.
Yeah, as weird as they were kind of comforting in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, I wish I could pull them up right now.
So, I did find.
I don't want to waste time though.
Yeah. This story is way more fun than we've had so far, and I think they've definitely found their footing for where they want to go with it, and just the feel of the book. While there may still be issues, it, at least for me, is definitely a lot better than what we've had. And since the first story arc, it's been ramping up and up and up for me, and they've found that fun center where they found a spot for the characters that they are comfortable with and is enjoyable. And yes, it is slightly different from the way we've had them in the past, but in terms of the character development we've had more recently, I think is not far off the mark from where they could be if they were real people, for example. Plus, the Run CMD mug was just fucking brilliant. I love that.
Oh God.
Yeah, I had a good chuckle about that joke. So I gave this an 8.75. I'm going to be honest with you, just because the story really resonated with me a lot better than anything else we've had so far. Uh, I'll still
Nice.
am with you, Josh. I do not love Cast Escape. It's very distracting. So distracting that I completely ignored the fact that it existed this issue until you brought it up today, and now I can't stop looking at it.
Yeah.
So that's great. It's
Scribble,
back.
scribble.
I don't like that. Yeah. Yeah. I liked it. I think this is the longest we've talked about Batgirls.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. And Killer Moth.
All right.
is
Well, then I
just
guess we should. Oh yeah,
such a
definitely.
C-list villain.
Yeah, always good to see the moth. And I guess
Actually
it's
trying.
fitting considering he was one of, yeah, considering he was one of Batgirl's first villains, or I think that was a Batgirl Year One retcon. I don't remember, but so there's something there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But all right, do we want to take a brief break, or do we want to just plug on ahead?
Well, I think our sponsors are going to want that brief break real quick. So why don't we hop off for
We have
just about a minute?
sponsors. Are we making money?
No, but we still run a commercial.
Uh,
All right, we'll be right back.
Now, back to our program.
And we're back. Thank you for sticking with Not a Robot. We're going to shift our attention over to our main reviews because we haven't been talking about our spotlights enough. Now we're going to take even more time to talk about our main reviews, starting with a fun little trip back to another corner of Gotham City. Except, wait, no, that's the wrong Batman. Nah, we got to go all the way upstate, I think, to New York City, near me, with I Am Batman number 13, which I'm going to pass over to Josh.
Well, that sounds fair enough. And as if we didn't get enough of Renee Montoya before, here we are in yet another Batman adjacent book, written by John Ridley, who I'm picking up more of his stuff. God, I love it. Art by Christian Deuce, Edward Pransica, and Julio Fiera, with coloring from Rex Locus and Troy Pateri on letters, with Deuce and Locus on that cover. Before I start this, I cannot tell. There's a character in here who throughout the whole book it's spelled Kayln. Now I'm gonna pronounce it Kayln. I can't tell if that's a real name or not.
I thought it was Kayln too.
I can't tell if it's a real name or not. I googled the hell out of it, all kind of different nationalities. I looked up how to pronounce it. I only found the generic Sam voice, phonetically saying it like Alexa. So if anybody knows, let me know. I am very curious. But anyway, on to the book. Wait, go ahead.
All I know
I've
is
been
I had an
reading it.
incredibly hard. Oh.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, all I know is I had an incredibly hard time reading it because I thought it was Kaylin, and then I realized there's no I, and it's just Kaylin.
That's what I was gonna say. I've been reading it as one of the new age ways to spell names. You know, there's so many weird names with way too many Y's, like Madison with two N's and a Y, but not where you'd expect.
But not where you think.
Yeah, so something like that. And I've been reading it as Kaylin. There's Kaylin, but they're trying to be fresh and new and hip and different, so they just delete a letter.
I just want to point out here that I don't give a shit how old you are or how stylish you think you can be. Being new and fresh does not equate to spelling shit wrong. Anyway, on to the book.
That's why you name your kid Maximian. You can't spell that wrong. Or God, I hope you don't.
No, no, nope. I have Austin and Mason and Tanner and Liam and Dash. And I didn't spell any of those
very
wrong.
much plan to name my kid. I very much plan to name my kid something Roman, just because they had such wonderful names. So it was going to be something incredibly long and incredibly impressive, like Maximian Augustus, I don't know, something like that, Xanatos or whatever.
Like my wife's
everyone will
nephew,
fear him.
her older brother, was so in love with the movie Gladiator, he named his only son Crixus.
Oh,
Oh
Christ.
my God! Oh,
No, it's not the
that
worst thing I
warms
ever
my
heard.
heart.
All right. So
I guess we should talk about Batman now.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm normally not a fan of flipping back and forth between scenes. If you've listened to here at all, you know that. But that's not really what happens in this book, although it kind of looks like it. But there's something different every time, so it didn't bother me. It worked here. That said, of course, this shortens the story from both angles. This issue angles being both Jace and Tiff. With Jace, the question is teaming up while feeling him out, but she's there to, I guess, kind of like lead him in the right direction while keeping an eye on him. Renee is giving him advice and warnings about what will happen to his mission if he's not careful. Sitting at the top of the food chain that they can see right now is Detective Keenan, because they're not aware of the aforementioned Mr. Giggles. Surprise, surprise. After a brief meeting with him, the question has determined that he is too oh God. He is too narcissistic to think that spilling the beans would affect him in any way, shape, or form. So a meeting is set up between him and Batman, and it is set up, it was supposed to be. He calls for Batman to be taken down, but Renee had already taken out his cronies, and we don't get to see him admit to anything yet as far as what he's been in charge of and what he's done. Just basically carrying that air about him that says, "Fuck you, pay me." The other side of this coin in this book is Tiff. She's still feeling messed up about her not being there for her sister. And of course that's going to bleed over into everything. She's got a friend, the Keln that I had mentioned previously, that she is really worried about because she's hanging out with gang members. She's fresh out of jail, though the book says prison, and she's a teenager. That's not going to happen. So I'm going to assume juvenile or weekend jail. In any case, she doesn't want to see her go back to joining the gang, because even though Keln says that the gang is all that she has, going around for advice while simultaneously kind of asking for others to step in, Tiff doesn't hear anything remotely close to what she wants to hear. It's all, you can't prove anything and there's nothing you can do. That's what she keeps hearing. Well, that could only lead to one possible result: the debut of Tiff as a crime fighter, or at least seeing her perched on a rooftop in what I think is a pretty cool costume, red and green, like traditional Robin colors, and I really dig the mask with the oversized eyes. That is cool. Pulling off a continuing story without messing up the pace or the interest, while simultaneously having a separate side story for the creation of another hero, it's difficult to balance and still present a good book. But I definitely think Ridley has done that here. As always, the art in this book looks clean. It's colored well. The shading, I like it. It's done really well without too many lines. Let me throw that in there. It's a solid title that I continue to love. Each month has me waiting for the next one. Next up, unwanted allies. So I'm assuming Batman and Tiff Girl are going to finally meet. And will Jace know that it's his sister when they do? I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. And that's an open question to you guys. Do you think Jace will know that that's Tiff?
I could definitely see that kind of thing happening, yeah.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, Tiff, what are you doing?
Maybe,
like,
yeah.
Jace? And
yeah.
they'll have a moment.
Oh, it's you? Whoa.
Whoa. Dude,
yeah,
where's
I don't know. I like
what's
this
my
issue.
tattoo say?
Yeah, oh no, go ahead. Oh, whoa. I know. I liked this issue more than the last one. I will admit that. The series had been just kind of slow for me, and I thought this one was better. I was definitely more interested in the Tiff stuff than I was with some of the J stuff. I don't know. It's been hard for me to latch onto. I like seeing Renee Montoya in this context, but I just wish it was a story that I cared more about. So it was better, but I don't know, it's still not there for me. The art is great, no question about that, but I'm just not really, I'm still not really into it. So this one I gave a 7.5 out of 10.
What about you, Rob?
I'm really looking forward to the Empire State of Robin. I think that's really cool that we're finally getting to that point. I'm currently taking bets to see if this Robin will last longer than Matt McGinnis, but we'll see how it goes.
It
God,
better.
that would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt McGinnis got like 10 issues at best.
I don't even think he reached double. I think he maybe had like 2 or something. Like it was ridiculously
really? Oh,
small.
Maybe
It's like half a story arc.
over exaggerating the past.
I think he started out as Robin, was told not to be Robin, and the next time he went out of the field, he was just Matt. That's how short his Robin run was. I don't know. Anyway, that's a long lost book that'll never come back. So, for I Am Batman, I'm still really digging it. I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it. I wish they could keep Renee Montoya, but it does look like she will be going back to Gotham, which is unfortunate because I thought having a question, let alone the question around, was a very nice touch and brought a little bit of familiarity to the world of Jace as Batman. Yeah, besides that, I don't think there's much else to say. The art's still very nice. The story's interesting. It's an 8.5. I think it's a solid round score.
All right, so let me ask you guys this before we move on.
Very cool.
Let me ask you guys this before we move on.
Yeah.
Do you think? It sounds like you think, Rob, that Montoya will definitely be heading back to Gotham. But like, what's pulling you in that way? And Brandon, do you feel the same way?
What's pulling me is the book that they announced called GCPD Blue Wall, which is Renee Montoya as the commissioner of the GCPD in Gotham. So that's sort of my conviction that she'll be staying.
I didn't realize that was like an in continuity. I figured that was just a side story. Oh, okay. Well, that changes everything then. Boo. That sucks. I did want a question. I mean, hell, there's 2 questions. There's 2 Batman. It only makes sense. All right.
We are definitely overdue for a question title, but hopefully we can get a good creative team behind that.
That would be cool. I feel like it would be cool if she came over, been the commissioner, and only occasionally was the question. I'd be fine with that too, because then I'd be able to find out what the hell happened to Vic Sage, maybe. Anyway, all right. I was just curious. I'm assuming you're that's how you knew too, Rob.
There was that, and just the most recent appearance in Batgirls really feels like it's after this. So,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look at me, Mr. Oblivious. I fit in with the bad guys. Okay, I'm all done with
Exactly.
Batman.
All right. Well,
All right, Rob, take it away.
yeah, I was gonna come up with something witty, but let's face it, I'm just gonna give up. I can't do it. I
Uh,
was gonna say something. We're gonna go
yeah,
overseas from
I
New York
can't.
all the way
I'm
to
starting to get hungry, so
Gamora.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm running out of clever transitions
yeah.
as my stomach is controlling my mind.
All
Ooh,
right, I'm gonna have to just take him over then.
I
I
got it.
can do
We're gonna
that.
go from
Give me
one
some.
GC with Gotham City all the way to another GC with the Gamora Corps, or something.
There we
Nah,
go.
that's even
There you
worse.
go. There you go.
Okay, close enough. It's Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 15, is the point I'm trying to make. And it is written by Mr. Tom Taylor, with pencils from Kian Tormey, inks from Kian Tormey and Scott Hanna, colors from Federico Blee and Matt Herms, and letters from Dave Sharp. So our story picks up where we left off. Superman and don't remember superhero name have made their way successfully into the base, and they're with some doctors, doctor scientists, whatever you want to call them. And we find Jay's mom is now mutated into a member of the Gamora Corps.
A really bad, ugly one
John,
too.
yeah, very reminiscent of Lady Deathstrike,
Right?
not in a good way.
Nope.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so John is ready to get on the offensive, but Jay is like, no, it's my job. And if Bendix is in there with my mom, he's not anywhere else. So let me keep him busy and you go save the day. So John realizes that Jay is right, goes to save the scientist, then goes off to save everyone else. And then Jay plays his hand and says, look, with my ability, you can't touch me. But then he says, look, you have to let me touch you or I will blow your mother's head off. So Jay stops his power and then proceeds to let his mother beat the shit out of him at the control of Mr. Bendix. Meanwhile, John is off saving people. Um, and then they find there is a base, bunker underneath the base where all the other superpowered people are being kept. But John cannot get into it without destroying it because of the way it is designed. So he flies off to the closest teleporter he knows of with Wink, and Wink teleports him inside the base, where he quickly stops soldiers, breaks the controllers, links to the powered people, which breaks their connection, and all the powered people in the Gamora Corps snap out of it and just want the fighting to stop. So the battle is done. Meanwhile, Lex has gotten a hold of Bendix, saying, "Mate, you're done. Game over." Bendix is trying to shoo him off, but Lex is having none of it and explaining all the shit that's going on. Your base is falling apart. The people buying your Gamora Core have no faith in your ability now. Your mission is done. So Bendix goes a little crazy, but then uh, lets go of Miss Nakamura. So Jay and his mom have a little, uh, what's the word, together moment, if you will. But that is all done because Robin arrived just in time to Bendix's control room, severs the connection, and has a fun little meme moment where he slaps Bendix right across the face, much like Batman did to the first Robin, Dick Grayson,
I
way back in I
literally
think
have
the
that marked
50s.
down as a bat slap.
Yeah, that is just the best moment. Yeah. Um. So after the slap, he looks seriously shook and then runs off like a little bitch, telling everyone around him to kill him. As Robin says, "Yeah, no, you don't have to listen to him anymore." So they instead choose to cheer Robin on. But Bendix teleports off to Skywatch, his in-space base orbiting the planet. So now Dreamer is calling for John, and Wink teleports him outside, where Dreamer says that she has a vision of burning death. Bendix is about to fire a laser straight onto Gamora, and John, wow, Flies right up into space and takes the laser straight to the chest, which honestly to me reminded me a lot of the old Max Fleischer Superman cartoons. Maybe just because that one I had on VHS had a moment just like that.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh my God, you had that on VHS. That makes me
yeah.
feel so young. I was watching that on
It
like
should.
YouTube. Uh,
I don't even know why I had it on VHS, but I did. um,
yeah.
yeah, so Lex appears on the Skywatch moon base to the surprise of Bendix. But Lex says, like, it's my teleporter. I can be wherever I want. And seemingly just takes over the base. Bendix has no control whatsoever. So Lex, excuse me, sends Bendix straight out of an airlock into space, seemingly killing him. Meanwhile, John is dealing with that death ray to the chest, but some new ability seems to appear, but does not get explained at this time because Lex chooses to blow up the Skywatch base as he teleports back to Earth safely, leaving no trace of his involvement. John smolders his way back down to the planet, meets up with Damien, and they fly back down to the ground. And realizing the day is saved, the team regroup and give thanks to each other for a job well done with no lives lost. But as they come together to take their bow from Gamora, every citizen comes to the site with cameras ablaze, and Jay does not have his mask. John says, your identity is going to be seen, but he says, I don't care. You're not hiding. I'm not going to hide either. And they share a kiss for the view of the world coming out together for all to see. And that ends the Siege of Gamora. The day is saved. And next we have the return of Kal-El. I think it was a good way to end the story. Honestly, finally a way to end the story, but it was an interesting story to say the least. Leaves some stuff open with Lex giving a threat for him, a threat in him for the future, and settling the score with Bendix. Though I wish we could have got to see more of Bendix's motivations. Why was he doing this apart from just being a dick? How did he become
World
president apart from being a
domination.
dick? You know, what happened between anything he did before? What got him there? I want to see more, but he may
He
or may
watched a
not be
bunch of
dead now.
Transformers cartoons and decided he wanted to be Megatron.
I thought you were gonna say you watched a bunch of Transformers movies and said, "Yeah, fuck this world."
Kaboom.
Yeah, that's my only gripe is Bendix seemed to just be rushed out of the picture very quickly, with no overall reason stated for anything apart from he's a dick. He's doing dick things. So apart from that, I enjoyed it. 8.5 out of 10 from me.
How about you, Brandon?
I gave this a I didn't have time to read it out of 10, which I've been using a lot lately. I'm sorry. It was a really busy week.
On Son of
And I thought I
Kal-El?
was gonna have time to finish it.
I am surprised.
I know it's the ending and everything, but I didn't have the time to squeeze it in because I was trying to get Wonder Woman and I Am Batman in before Thursday, but I just didn't have the time. And I had in my defense, I had a midterm on Wednesday, and I was trying to fit it all in this morning, and I just didn't have the time. So I'm sorry.
Midterm didn't
But
the year
I will
just
finish it
fucking
and give you
start?
guys my updated. What?
Didn't the school year
Yeah.
just
Oh,
start? And you're already
yeah.
getting a
Yeah.
midterm?
You would think you would. I know you would think, given that it just started 3 weeks ago, we wouldn't have that fucking serious of an assignment. But apparently, it's a whole other story because like one of the classes I'm taking, all of our TAs quit, so they had to accelerate the schedule. And
Holy shit.
anyway, point is, long story short, I did not have as much time as I thought I would, and I did not get to complete Son of Kal-El. So I know I'll be voted out of the Big Brother house now, and be forced to leave the show. But I just want to say in my defense, there were some circumstances that were out of my control. Could I have planned things better? Perhaps, but that's in the past now. But I'll give you my updated thoughts, hopefully by the weekend.
All right. As far as me, that cover looks off. Something about it I'm just not a fan of. The art in general looks a little too soft, I guess. I'm not sure. For a huge action comic, or for a huge action filled comic, wrong Superman title. It just I'm not sure. I don't feel like it was action drawn, if that makes any sense. Also, I feel like Jay Nakamura in his new costume looks like a modernized Captain Cold knockoff. But this is it, man. It is the end of the Gamora problems, the end of the Gamora war, fucking up the Gamora core. Uh, it has been a hell of a build up. A lot of people thought it was too slow. I thought the pacing was just right, and I'm glad to see that it is. It's wrapped up the way that it did. As far as I'm concerned, the motivations from Bendix are no more than the motivations we've seen a million times from Lex Luthor, and that is he wants to be in charge of everything because he thinks he's the best for that job. And that's pretty much it. I'm glad the guy's gone, as in gone, dead. Basically, Lex decided that he was going to look at him and flush him out. And so he opened him up, sucked him out into space, and that was it. And then Lex sat there and said, "I want to flush it again." And that was that was pretty much the end of it, man. I like the way that all the pieces kind of fell where they did. And for a final issue, I think they did a great job. And employing the wrong art style aside, though that does factor into my score. I would have given this probably an 8.75 had they chosen to go with I'm not even sure, a harder or a more, I guess just more traditionally action drawn comic book. In any case, I give this an 8 out of 10, man. I enjoyed the hell out of it, like I have nearly every issue. What do we got next?
Well, we're on the subject of action, or maybe lack thereof, and the artistic rendering of it. And I hope that maybe this next title will satisfy your action tastes a little bit more, because it's Batman versus Robin. And with a title like that, it's surely going to supply the action in full. This is brought to us by the dynamite Mr. Mark Waid, with art from Mahmoud Asrar, who is equally dynamite, colors from Jordi Belair, who is also dynamite, and Steve Wands, who I may not know as well, but I assume he is also dynamite, or at the very least TNT. Damian Wayne, torn between two worlds, those of the Al Ghuls and those of the Bats. That sounds weird. After the death of his mentor, Alfred Pennyworth, Damian has been adrift. Whoa, who was that? Sorry. Damian has been adrift, wishing for some kind of direction for his life. Yeah, I don't know. I like knocked something in it. Anyway, Damian has been adrift, wishing for some kind of direction in his life, or for his life. But as the captions say, you gotta be very careful what you wish for. We cut to Wayne Manor, where a mysterious figure is hanging out in the background, and we don't know who's there. Inside the manor, Bruce Wayne is going through some old stuff, reflecting rather nostalgically on the place that he once called home, and the sort of weird feeling that called him here today. Something almost mystical in nature, you could say. Some wistful feeling that brought him back to the manor. And just when he's thinking about that, he hears right at the door. You like that? And who should be at the door knocking at this strange hour but Alfred Pennyworth? My goodness, could it be? And then we cut to the title page, which I thought was very clever. Bruce is naturally doubtful that this strange man who's appeared before his door is the real Alfred Pennyworth, and puts him through a litany of questions, ones that he knows only Alfred would be able to answer, and Alfred, miraculously, this Alfred at least, is able to answer every single one. Alfred suggests heading to the cave to run a series of biological scans, something that Bruce knows Alfred would say, and he also knows that the grandfather clock that is in the study is set to 10:47 to open into the Batcave, the time of Bruce's parents' murder. But as they open the grandfather clock passageway and make their way to the cave, who's waiting for them perched atop the famous large penny, but a very sinister looking Damian Wayne? What? Why are you here? Why are you not with Lazarus Island or on Lazarus Island with your strange friends? Well, it seems that Damien is in a bit of a mood, to say the least,
I mean,
acting very strangely and yes, and saying some things that are rather odd, not the kind of thing that you would expect Damien to say, especially after randomly turning up in the cave. He's brought some friends along, one Timothy Hunter, the boy who could be the greatest magician or the greatest scientist, but his future is still undetermined. And I guess it has remained undetermined since 1992, because oh my God, Books of Magic came out before I was born, and Tim Hunter is still a kid. So I guess it's true what they say about these comic characters never growing up. As well as Jakeem Thunder, who has inherited the Thunderbolt of Yiz, who is now, I guess, possessed by the spirit of Johnny Thunder, or whatever the retcon was in JSA. Long story short,
that's it.
Damien with his new magical friends. What?
As far as
Johnny,
Jakeem Thunder, and had the spirit put into a fucking pen, and then Jay Garrick, without realizing that was the magic pen, gave it to Jakeem.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, Damien and his new friends make war on the Batman using their magical powers and essentially getting the upper hand for the most part. Damien puts him through a gauntlet of things, accusing him of all the things that you've heard from Damien before, but far more sinister, things that you had assumed he had moved on from, but is dragging up. So you know that something is not quite right. And as Batman puts it, Damien clearly, while he is puppeting these other boys, is being puppeted himself, though it's not clear who is the puppet master behind the scenes. After Damien leads yet another attack on Batman and Alfred as they're making their way out of the cave, he pulls out a gun and basically gives Batman his final ultimatum, saying that it is time for him to fully embrace his legacy of the Bat. Sorry, Dad, you're just too old. Fires off his gun, leaves Batman careening down into the sewers, but thankfully Batman had installed one of those handy whatever elevator shafts in the cave that he was able to grab onto at the last second, saving his life by mere inches. Alfred and Batman decide that there's only one way to there's only one way to get to the bottom of this, and that is to find out what the hell is going on with Damien. There's clearly something mystical in nature about this, something magical, and they need to find the person who knows magic better than anyone else, and that is Zatanna Zatara. And as they make their way to Zatara's place using a special key that Zatanna had given to Batman to use in case of emergencies, they discover that Zatanna is, in a bit of a strange scenario, as they see her hanging by a levitating hangman's rope with her neck snapped. Zatanna reveals that the magic users have all Schrodinger's noose, as she refers to it. She is neither alive nor dead, somewhere in between. And she reveals that Damien has made war on all the magic users and has corrupted them in such a way that they're all feeling the mode, to steal a phrase from Young Justice. We cut back to Damien, who, seriously, as far as we know, is still experiencing he's definitely whelmed, definitely feeling the Aster, if you will. We cut to Damien, who, again, still is experiencing some kind of possession, and that is when we reveal that Damien is working with none other than Mother Soul, but leading the charge is, of course, the Devil Nezha. So I guess we still have to wait and see just what the hell is going on here and how exactly the Devil Nezha came to rise once again. But I'm sure we'll be getting those answers in the next issue.
Maybe it's magic. Maybe it's Nasaline.
Maybe it's Nasaline, maybe something like that. Maybe it's just an incredibly spoiled child. Okay, where to start?
Boy.
I'm trying to remember exactly what I said on Monday. I think I called it the most conflicting book, or I said it was an
Yeah.
incredibly conflicting book. And what I meant by that was it is a book that reads incredibly well. It has all the trappings of a great action thriller, right? It's got a premise that is super solid. It's like, oh my God, all the magic, users in the DC universe are corrupted. What's going on? And at the center of it all is Damian. How could this be? Like it's got a killer hook. It's written incredibly tightly. And the Alfred stuff, well, I'm not a huge fan of it. It is at least a solid mystery. And I my hope is that Alfred does not stay after this miniseries is wrapped. But for a hook for the first issue, it at least achieves that of getting your attention. That being said, the other comment that I had was this book feels like something that should have come out like 4-5 years ago. Whenever Damian was doing the whole I'm keeping prisoners in an underground bunker while I'm leading the Teen Titans or whatever, and then eventually I just give up being Robin. This should have been that book. Because what this reminded me of, for good and for ill, mostly ill, was Shadowland, where you had Daredevil, who's possessed by the Beast, leading this war against all the street level heroes of the Marvel universe. And it's kind of similar here, where a possessed Damian is waging war on the magic users of the DCU. And I feel like what could work about this, or what might have worked about this, is having this set after a period where Damian had gone through just his worst moments, because that's when Shadowland took place. It was when Daredevil was at his absolute lowest, and this should have been after Damian had done everything that he had done with the prisoners and with the Titans, and had quit being Robin and was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to go full-time evil. And then you can have everything that we had with the Lazarus tournament that kind of redeemed it. But this just feels so weird to have, like, after the Robin book, which just spent so much time trying to redeem Damian's character and have him be less of a prickly brat and more of a caring character that we know him to be and we've seen him to be in the past. And I'm sort of questioning, like, for as tightly written as it is, I'm kind of like, what's the point? Like, why does this book exist when we just had a whole series that was trying to fix the problem of Damian? And now you're essentially just going back and saying, oh, whatever, let's just have him go wild. And I know he's possessed, but it just seems like such a weird, I don't know, just such a weird time to have. Like, the timing of this book, I think, is just the worst thing about it, because it feels like the worst possible place, especially given that everything Damian's been through. It feels like the worst possible place for him to be in right now. And I know they're probably trying to clear the board with him and have him officially renounce his title as Robin, because they want Tim to be Robin again, because the people at DC can't move past 1994 and they want Tim to be Robin. And I don't know. That's a whole other topic of discussion, which I'm vehemently against. I don't, because Tim had his time as Robin and he's moved on and he deserves that. And I don't understand
what did he move on into?
Why they're stuck on that. Into Red Robin, into a role of maturity where he's not attached to the sidekick role anymore.
Now he's just Red Robin. I would venture to say that is
he's just
not
Robin
very much
again.
of a deviation from just Robin.
Okay, but he doesn't have to be Batman's sidekick again, or Batman's partner or anything. I mean, he'll always work with Batman, but my point is Tim had graduated from that role. The transition may have been a little rough, but moving him back into the role of Robin is just regression, because at that point, what have you learned? You've learned how to be on your own, and then ultimately realized, well, you know what? I guess I just work better with Daddy by my side.
I think it's more along
a terrible arc for him. And I feel like
big ass discussion, but I personally
I
think
terrible.
that the creative decision to move him back there is because they are writing Batman as older. Tim has always been the only one that has always never given up on Bruce, no matter what. So I feel like that's the
But if that
natural
was the
thing,
case,
and
then
they
why
aren't.
did we spend all this time on Damian being Robin? That makes no sense. And we've already
Look who was
seen
writing it.
Damian mature into the role of Robin via no, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like the 40 or whatever issues that we had from Peter Tomasi and Pat Gleason of Batman and Robin, which was literally addressing that question.
I think he graduated into the role of Robin and then matured the fuck out of it. Robin just doesn't fit Damian Wayne, not to me.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Just yeah, I can hear you. There's
Hello?
something going on, but
Hello?
can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Sorry, my headphones just cut out.
Oh,
You hear me?
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. Add the
Now
role of Robin, and yeah, now we can. I was like, I'm asking myself, what was the fucking point then? If you were just gonna slot Tim back in the role like a child, but that's neither here nor there. Even though I just talked about it, so it's a deeply conflicting one because I ask myself, what's the point of this series? But I will admit it was a solid read, a tight read. So I gave this one a very confused 7.75 out of 10. I almost gave it a question mark out of 10. But I already did that with Iron Man so many times that I feel like it's played out at this point.
All right, so I am right there with you. It feels a little outdated, but I might. What was your reasoning for its outdated? It just it was a different time.
Oh, it
for
just
Damian.
feels weird to have after everything
Yeah.
Damian's been through.
For me, it's definitely a good story. But how many times are we going to see Bruce and Damian fight? Like this has been done.
Exactly.
I'm very conflicted, just like you, but I think in different different ways. And I'm finding it a little off the mark that Damian fought so hard in his own run to make sure Nezha would not be freed, and then he just
When?
goes and does it by being curious. Which
Mm.
I get if you're looking around and you're scoping out the island, but wouldn't you try to be a little more cautious about that, especially if you know there's a demon somewhere underneath the island?
But he didn't necessarily know that. And
You
when
think
was it
so,
that
right?
when was it that he was specifically trying to hold Nezha back? Because I don't remember that at all. I remember seeing him in
When
two
Mother
different.
Soul literally told him
The end of the tournament.
when Mother Soul literally told him that the demon runs in your blood and you have to be cautious of that, and Damien was like, "Yeah, okay, I guess I do because I can see how batshit crazy it turned the rest of my family."
But we didn't. Okay, so with
But I
one
guess
fucking page of dialogue.
between the issues of I guess the between yeah, but I guess between the issues of or the between issue 17 and the start of Batman and Robin, Damien also had a sip of ambrosia, decided to forget that, and now is completely oblivious to the fact that he had many warnings from both Talia, from Mother Soul, and I mean, I guess from his own personal investigations, I think is in the last couple issues of Robin, that hey, there's a demon that has not only impacted your family, but is also incredibly dangerous, that is on this island that you should steer clear of. But Damien had too much fun at that party, had a sip of that good old ambrosia, and forgot all about it. Got a little too curious, and now he's infected.
Saw a big
At
ass
least I
door and
assume that's
opened
what
it.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
suppose so. But
I don't know. Despite the plot flaws for me, it's still a good tale and it's got great art. Um, and I'm still a little conflicted now about Alfred, where I don't think he should be left alive. I don't think he is alive. I think he's still dead, and this is just some imagination thing. But if they do somehow bring Alfred back to life, I don't know how I'm gonna feel. I really don't.
yeah, that would not be
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Not that I don't love the character, but it's because I love the character that he should just stay dead. Um, yeah,
Exactly.
I don't know. It's a very conflicting book, but I still loved it. You know, it's very interesting to read. So I think I'm going to enjoy the run. We'll see how it goes. I'm just counting down the pages till Damien and Bruce stop fighting, because We've seen it a dozen
Yes.
times already. But I gave this an 8.75 out of 10.
I'm like, for the love of God, please don't quit. Like, just be Robin. Just stay. You're good in that role, and most people have accepted you in that way. You don't have to quit. Just be that.
Man, he
Although
hasn't
if
been
Dark
Robin
Crisis
in
is any
forever.
indication, he clearly didn't quit. We just read like how many issues of him being Robin.
Where?
And that brief period when he was Robin was only like a year. He had been Robin since 2009. Like I don't
recently he's
understand this
just been
mentality of
Damian.
like,
People call him Robin, but he's not been like in the Robin role.
Yeah, like the book was called Robin, and he had the R in his chest, but that whole time he was like, I'm trying to find who I am, whether that's Robin or something else.
oh right. Yeah. No, totally. And I would agree with you there if I didn't read an event called Shadow War, where after fighting for a little bit, Batman and Robin teamed up to solve the mystery of who assassinated Ra's al Ghul.
But
So,
you're calling him
I
Robin.
totally believe that.
But
Definitely.
was he called Robin in
He
that?
did call him
did he
Robin.
call himself Robin?
Yes,
Did he call
was
himself
called
that?
Robin.
Or
Yes.
did other people call him that, or he
Yes.
called himself that?
Robin, they may have called
Both.
Damian
Both
Robin,
of
but
them
he
were
doesn't
calling him
refer.
that.
Show me a page where Damian has referred to himself as Robin in the last year. I'll give you 20
Oh
bucks.
my God! All right. Here, let me show you. Let me show you. I literally can.
Go ahead. And while you're doing
You have
that,
it
Rob,
ready?
did
It's
you make
impressive.
your score? Batman versus Robin. Did you give us your score yet?
8.75 out of 10.
All
For
right.
Batman
now,
versus Damian. Yeah.
Here is me, and this is me. Keep in mind, I am a huge Mark Waid fan, and I'm about to say this. Before I get into it, though, father versus son for the fate of the DCU is the tagline for Batman versus Robin. Okay, but you'd think that that'd be Dark Crisis. Oh. All
Yeah.
right, so first and foremost, this crazy
All right.
shit.
All right.
Hold on. First and foremost, this crazy shit. I thought that Bruce moved out of the mansion because it was part of the shit Joker stole, which was everything that he had, which Catwoman then stole and gave to the Foxes. So he didn't move out of there voluntarily. It didn't belong to him to begin with. And then motherfucking Alfred shows up. God damn it. I don't give a fuck if he does go back away after this story is done, because now he's not Alfred. Now he's just another fucking gimmick. And that pisses me off. Bruce is taking it in stride when he walks in, barely doubts him at all, invites him into the kitchen after one fucking question, makes him some tea, and then starts his battery. We go down to the cave, Alfred further proving that he knows things like the time on the wall and all of that. I don't think, at first, I didn't even think that this was Robin. It didn't sound like him. It didn't act like him until he saw Alfred. So up until this point, I'm already like not fucking happy with this book. Everything that's in this book so far is wrong. Next, I get to see Tim Hunter, who I love. I love Books of Magic. I can't help but push that series onto anybody who's interested in the Sandman-ish universe, because it's awesome. Can't help but think that maybe he's in here just because they want to build off of that Sandman universe popularity from the TV show. But of course, with the expanding multiverse, we're probably going to have a literal Sandman universe. Jakeem Thunder showing up. I'm assuming that this is the stupid ass Boy Thunder sidekick that we've been hearing about. Maybe not. But one thing that I did see in here that I wasn't expecting to see, just a nice little tip of the hat to somebody else's story arc, and it is Eclipso being trapped into that crystal that was on Gemworld that the Flash and his kids put him into. He was sitting there asking for help. I thought that was a pretty cool thing. Flash forward through the rest of the book, and on the last page, we've got Fate's helmet, Jay's lantern, Bobo's hat, and more. I can't figure out whose chest plate that is. But is that Aquaman's trident, or what do I have that screwed up with?
That maybe that's Blue Devils because if it's
That was like the Spear of Destiny or something. Yeah.
Okay, the Spear of Destiny. I suppose. Oh no, that hasn't been in play recently. That just came to my mind because of the Day of Judgment run we just recovered. Anyway, all right. So that's the book. From my point of view, Alfred back from the dead, dumb. The voice for Damian, dumb. Batman not understanding where this powerful magic that can control heroes is coming from when he and Superman just had to make the coolest looking composite Superman Batman ever to fight it, dumb. The rest is okay because all of it was easy to see coming a mile away. Batman fighting Robin with no real consequences. The art is pretty good, but I still feel like this should have been Dan Mora or someone to really get in there and wow us with the story and pictures. I wanted this to be awesome. Instead, I want this to be better because meh. The one thing that I will say, the two problems that you guys have with is the regression that we see in the character of Damian, and this isn't Damian. Like I said before, maybe it's magic, maybe it's Nazaline, but it's just a possessed Damian. It's not a reflection of his character's progression, regression, or staying stale. It is just him being used to further a plot line that's going to, what was it DC said again? Determine the fate of the DCU. Yeah, I gotta say, in recent memory, and probably I couldn't even tell you how far back, this is the worst fucking thing Mark Waid has ever written. 5.5 out of 10. Biggest waste of my time in a long time.
Well,
on an event book.
I have worse news for you. You, sir, owe me $20 because I direct your attention to our Discord server where I ripped a page from Robin number 9, dated 2021, which we covered on this very show, a panel in which Damian says, "I am Robin, and
when did
we have
this come
died
out?
Enough on this island." So I don't know
when did this come out?
like Venmo or
when did it come out?
This was literally like a couple months ago.
It was a couple months ago.
The book that we were reading.
Well, I mean, we read that book. Okay, I've seen you all battle,
Yeah.
and I know you were all great fighters. We have fought each other, but now I ask that we fight together. Okay, so it is at the end of the tournament.
You said find me a panel.
Yep.
Yeah, you said find me a panel in this
I
run.
mean,
so.
He wasn't exactly going to be able to stand up. Yes, I do Venmo. Put it in the fucking Discord.
I'm just fucking with you. I'm Josh.
Put it in the Discord. Oh, now I'm taking $5 off for that poor joke. But you got me on a technicality. You got me the one fucking time he said it in front of a bunch of strangers. But oh damn. Give me your Venmo. I owe you the $20. I'm a man of my word. Well, a bunch of strangers and that freaky girl he's boning. But
I'll just have you in honor of this book. I'll just have you buy me some issues of Williamson's Flash and send it to my home address.
Oh, you're just fucking evil. You are just fucking evil.
I know.
You are like
I am
Earth
as evil as
3
Damian
evil.
in this issue. Yeah.
It's not.
You're gonna
Damian.
buy me. You're gonna buy. I'm trying to think.
It's
what
not
were like
Damian.
the worst issues of that run? I'll have to think about it. Whichever ones they were, you're gonna buy me.
I'm gonna buy you the
ones
Forever
and you're gonna
Force
send it to me.
arc, so
That'll
you can.
be my payment.
I'm gonna buy you the volume with the Forever Force. Yep, there you go. That's what you get.
I trashed that from my collection because I didn't want it anymore. It's so terrible.
All of it's terrible. Every fucking issue. Anyway,
yes.
All right. So now that we've determined that Batman versus Robin is the biggest piss stain on Mark Waid's career, where do we want to go from here?
Well, it would be more appropriate to go to our biggest stinker, but I guess we have to turn things to a more positive side first. So we're going to go to our top 3 books for this week before we then shift to the nastier portion of the show. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Josh, and ask, what were your top 3 books of this week and a standout moment, if you have one?
Number 3, excuse me, Worlds Without a Justice League, Wonder Woman. As iffy as I was on it, with the backup on Martian Manhunter, that really brought that whole book up. So that took number 3. Number 2 is going to Super John, who I do have a question here. We see next the return of Kal-El. However, don't we have a book in between now and November when DC says Kal-El is returning, even though he returned last month?
I should be returning next month, because next month's Action Comics will be his first.
If I'm not mistaken, the article that I read about the dawn of the DCU said that Clark's return is scheduled for November. Yet we have it happening next month, which would be October, and it also happened last month with whatever book it was where we saw.
Is that the special issue, or are they just talking about the? Because doesn't the start of Kal Returns start with Action 1047, and that's out in like 2 weeks.
Oh, I see. I was under the impression it was.
I think they're talking about the Kal-El. Yeah.
I thought it was in 1050.
Yeah. No, I think they're talking. Oh my god. I think they're talking. Yeah, I think they're talking about the Kal-El Return special.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So is Superman Son of Kal-El, is that getting shelved?
That remains to be seen.
No, they're doing a crossover. So it starts in Action 1047. It will continue in Superman Son of Kal-El 16, and then they'll just go back and forth until the Kal-El Return special and also Action 1050.
Right on. That is great news. Sweet. Okay, that part I missed from it. So there's that for number 2, and then number 1 I gave to I Am Batman. Thought it was really great. My favorite moment, well, I think it's universal, but the panel of Damian popping in and smacking Bendis Bendix. Sorry, Freud. I thought, jeez, I thought that was really cool.
You got something you want to say?
No, but I really had 2 other than that obvious one. After the airlock scene with Bendix getting sucked out of the spaceship because of Luthor opening the airlock, Luthor says to Bendix, "It's space, Henry. No one can hear you complain." I thought that was great. And as an honorary mention for my favorite moment, only because it's such a standout moment in Batgirls, Babs, anyway, any headway on the cipher? Steph says back to her, "It's like looking for an eyeball in a sea of peeled grapes." That is some crazy fucking imagery there, and wow. Yeah. So I gotta, that had to have come from Conrad. It's weird, it's twisted, and I don't think I'm gonna get that phrase out of my head for at least a week. So thanks for that.
Right on. Honestly, I'm very conflicted about my top 3 as well. I'm not sold on it, but I'm sticking to what I wrote. So at number 3, I had Son of Kal-El. Number 2, I had Batgirls, and by some grace of hell, number 1, I put Batman versus Robin. Because not only was it my highest scoring book, but I honestly, for some reason, still enjoyed it the most out of everything this week. I don't know why.
Oh, the big books I usually disagree with you guys the most on. That seems to be what the trend has been. So it doesn't surprise me.
But I still have issues with this book, but I still enjoed it. I hate to love it, but I love it.
It's a solid read. I can't argue with that.
But it's so weird. Yeah. I don't know. Like you said it best, Brett. It's conflicting.
It's a bizarre one.
And
It's
for
very
best
conflicting.
moments,
That's why I was like, yeah.
yeah, best moments. Again, surprised even myself. Just it's like a oh that's nice. Finally, like a compassion, like a camaraderie moment for me was the Jurassic League finally coming together against Dark Helocide. Was really nice for me. Not for anybody else on the planet, but I liked it.
Uh, I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
As for me, at number three, I had shockingly Batman versus Robin because I'm with Rob, though not quite as positive. While it is doing things that I'm not quite a fan of, magical implications or not, it is a very solid read. I thought very tight. Like it reads very well. That's the problem with it. It's like you want to hate it, and you kind of do, but you read it, and it's like, well, it is. It's a pretty solid one. So that's where I landed. Two, I had Batgirls. Again, hardly a great issue, but not too bad. And interested to see where that's going. But number one for me, surprisingly, was the Worlds Without a Justice League special for Wonder Woman. I actually really dug this one, and it was my highest rated score. So props to you, Dark Crisis. You did something well, I suppose. Favorite moment though, for as ridiculous as some of the moments were in Batman versus Robin, there's something about seeing all the old Batsuits teaming up like to fight Batman that it looks so silly, but like the way it's drawn was so cool that I couldn't help but love it. So you have like the old like purple gloves Batsuit like throwing a punch
That
at
doesn't
Batman, and you
exist
have
in
the
this
the Simon
dimension.
Hurt. Yeah, well, yeah. Regardless of whether it exists, I mean, I don't even know. I guess it depends on which continuity you're asking. But that's a whole other can of worms. I don't really
Dan
care. It
Jurgens
just
can
looked
tell
super
you. He
cool.
wrote Shattered
Seeing all
Dimensions.
those ones. Yeah. Well, I
Pretty
know there
sure
was
he did.
also no, no. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. There are other places that it's appeared, but I'm not gonna go there because we've already been here for like 3 hours. So yes, that looked cool. And unfortunately, that's the end of the cool part of the show. Now we're getting into the not cool part of the show and also nasty. I don't know. I'm tired. I'm out of transitions, but it's time for
The biggest thinker.
Oh, that's nasty.
Undoubtedly. I can smell it from here.
yes. Which title made your stink list today, gentlemen?
Wow. I honestly, the Flash Fastest Man Alive, simply due to the fact that it's simply just a movie tie-in. I know it's a little petty on my side, but
No, it's not.
I'm
How many
just
fucking
not
times do we need to see
fair
Barry
enough.
Allen's origin?
Yeah. Well, I flipped through it for sure, and I gave it a brief read, and I don't think it was necessarily his origin. It is really just a tying point between where he is in the movie universe currently versus where he will be when the movie starts. And I just don't think we need to care.
Oh,
I don't know. That's just me. I feel like it's a cop out. It's a money grab. It's a waste of time.
Is it
it's
really
also the
I mean,
second
who's
time that's been
buying
used for a
this? Who
title.
even cares about the movie?
Every
you like
single
Girder as a
hostage
villain,
of Ezra
you'll love
Miller's
it.
has a copy of this.
Yeah, well, no wonder they want to kill themselves. I'm sorry, that was really insensitive. I
Strap
shouldn't have said that. Yeah.
Ooh, damn.
the boots on. Ouch. You yelled at me for saying I should poop in Tom King's lawn when he killed Crypto? Really?
That was a little too dark. That was a little too dark. Yeah, that's
You
not
know
what we're
we've been
talking.
here for almost 4 hours when Brandon starts getting to the dark humor.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oof, man. Need to eat. Yes, yeah, no, it's a little too dark for me. Anyway, stink list. Yes. Uh, Josh, what was yours? I think we already kind of know, but
Yeah.
for the sake of the audience.
You guys said it's a conflicting issue, but the only thing conflicting about it is that I have to say Mark Waid wrote such a fucking turd. Batman versus Robin. That's a lot of confliction for me.
Well,
I don't know
as
if
for
you guys
me,
can tell.
yeah, definitely. As for me, my stinker, I guess, is probably I Am Batman. I mean, not a terrible issue, just one that, as the other issues or as previous issues have, has just kind of been very dull for me.
It has
So that would be my
consistently
biggest stinker.
left you rather whelmed.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not for me. And and I think it's just a personal thing. Like, I'm glad you guys really enjoy it. I think that's great. And it could very well be. I've had this be the case with a number of other series. It very well could be. It's just not for me right now. And I come back and revisit it, and it's, absolutely amazing. Like, I recently was rereading some of the Tini Howard Catwoman stuff just to try and refresh my memory, and like that first arc was a lot better than I remember it being. So it could just be, where you are right now, and maybe at some point in the future you look back on it with fresh eyes and it's completely different. So who knows? I don't know, but right now I'm just not feeling it.
Side note, I really think she did a great job picking up where Rom V left off. I'm sure I said that in the previous reviews
like,
months and months and months ago.
I was probably just in a different place, but I read was it like 39 to 42. I think that was the first arc, and it's a lot better than I remembered it being. That's why I think I laughed when you said her writing style does not have a voice; it's a mood, because it's still kind of fresh on my mind. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of true. I can't even argue with that.
Nope.
But
there's nothing wrong with that.
It could very well be the case. I don't know. No. I think if your personality shows and it shows well, it's a good thing. So.
All right. Well, I guess if we've got.
All right. If we are all done, yes. If there's nothing left to say, then we will sign off for the night for this very, very large, jumbo-sized, prestige format edition of the Not a Robot DC Comics review show. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope to see you next week. As always, you can find us at notarobotpodcast.com, and you can also support us at buymeacoffee.com/NARpodcast. Can you tell I'm tired? To support us further, as well as get access to some of our exclusive content. But with all that said, there's only one way to say goodbye around here. Until next time.
Be good to each other.
And don't be a robot.
Oh my God, how long is that?